Be cool, be kind, be classy. The cupcakes are sweet and sexy. Have fun, enjoy the journey. Just have a good attorney. No big whoop, no biggie. She lives near New York City. Not just a YouTube show. When you know, you better grab a straw. Learn about the law. It's cool here in the shade, sipping motions of lemonade. Cool heads will prevail, kindness will never fail. Be classy and vastly wise. Oh, Melanie Little is going live. Oh no, where is Melanie? Follow the island's melody. There's a concert within reach. No surprise, she's at Jones Beach. She heard some music far away. Captain Jack Stack Harbor Bay. He sings and his piano plays. Not all sounds are waterways. Speaking Yiddish and Latin, it's not just for Manhattan. It's for Goethe and Machegas. Ridiculous that insanus. Oy vey, Marcus. Proset, that's for schmucks. Be cool, be kind, be classy. My cupcakes are sweet and sassy. And not just a YouTube show. When you know. Cool heads will prevail. Kindness will never fail. Be classy and vastly wise. Melanie Little is going live.
Hello, my friends, and thank you so much for coming to hang out with me today on this Friday, April 10th, 2026. Good afternoon. How's everyone doing? Look at Gen X 1968 starting us off with 5 gifted memberships, and welcome to the 5 new members. And thank you so much, Gen X 1968, for your generosity today. Gen X is the best. I am Gen X. You are Gen X. Many of us are Gen X. And we're here for it. Praise be. Praise be. How's everyone doing today? It's Friday. Thank you so much for giving me a little time to get home from my vacation and to breathe a little bit before getting into these new documents in the Kelsey Fitzsimmons, Justin Aylaian custody debacle that is going to be have a hearing next week, I think on Tuesday, on the 14th of April. Justin Aylaian has chosen to air all the dirty laundry that he can possibly find, and I am calling it Parental Aylaianation. Isn't it fitting? I also didn't want to get all worked up and outraged on my vacation. So to be honest with you, it's 38 pages long. I have not yet read it. I have not yet read it because I wanted to read it with you, because I prefer to give you my real-time reactions. You often say that my faces have subtitles, and they do. They do. The Masters is in full swing. It's in a day 2 today, and I have a viewer. We have a cupcake. Her name is Marianne. She lives at Augusta, and she's going to the afternoon session right now. So shout out to Marianne. Thank you so much for sending me those documents that you sent me. The original MSP report on Kelsey Fitzsimmons, and it's been so long that I can't recall if we've seen it before, but it's got some witness statements in it and some direct quotes. So have fun today, Marianne. I don't know if you're listening, but if you are, have a great time at the Masters. Let's see who's on the leaderboard. Let's see. Rory McIlroy is in the lead at 6 under after hole number 2 today. So that's interesting. I was excited that Freddie Couples was in the hunt on day 1. I didn't get to see it too much because I was here with you, but Freddie Couples is my all-time favorite golfer. He's on the seniors tour now, but I love him. And Phil Mickelson is not playing. Tiger Woods is not playing. And so Freddie Couples is one of the greats, in my opinion. And let's go. I also watched, and anybody who's watching or who likes golf or plays golf or enjoys golf, did you watch any of the par 3 tournament with all of the little children of the golfers on the course playing? They were so adorable. Rory has a really cute, I think, daughter. Anyway, Rory's your guy. And Monj says, Rory is my guy. That's awesome. I got an email yesterday actually, and the headline of the email, or the subject line of the email was "Praise be, Melanie Little," and I'm thinking, "Praise be, Melanie Little." I say that all the time, right? Because I love The Handmaid's Tale. Many of you love The Handmaid's Tale, and many of us feel like we're living in a real life Handmaid's Tale, having watched Karen Reed be persecuted twice, and now Kelsey Fitzsimmons and all of the other women that we've been watching. And so this is the body of the email that the subject line was "Praise be, Melanie Little." Here it is. Blessed day, Melanie Little. And it's got the Hulu logo on it. And here's a picture of Aunt Lydia. Did anybody know this is happening? Enrollment begins at Aunt Lydia's preparatory school for girls. Witness a new generation rise, forging friendships and finding the truth behind the regime that raised them in the testaments. Watch what it's like to grow up in Gilead now on Hulu. I didn't even know this was happening. It's on Hulu. There's a couple episodes out right now. And these are about girls that are going to school, learning how to be wives to commanders underneath Aunt Lydia. So how awesome is this? It's amazing. I'm excited for it. Let's all start watching it and read it together. Look at this, Karen DePasquale gifting 5 memberships. You're awesome. You're awesome, Karen DePasquale. Thank you so much for your generosity. And then Gigi's here. She's engraving all the silver bracelets, and not to be outdone, she's gifted 10 memberships. So welcome to all 20 new members. And thank you to the generosity of the amazing cupcakes in this chat. You guys are the greatest chat on the internet. You know it. I know it. You're the smartest. You're the most nuanced. You appreciate legal nuance, and you are awesome. Queen Kelly has watched the first 3 episodes, says it's so good. I had no idea either, but I love to share. And look at Susan coming in with another 5 memberships. You guys are too good to each other and to me. And I love you with all of my heart. I love you with all of my heart. Yeah, Law Junkie says that Agnes is Hannah. It's after Handmaid's Tale. It's a book. Yes, I didn't realize it was based on the book. But Agnes is Hannah. That's right. Look, they changed her name, and her name became Agnes Mackenzie. And I'm very excited. I can't wait to watch it. If you've watched it, no spoilers, please. So thank you, Karen DePasquale says this is the greatest chat for the best on the tubes of you. Who's better than you guys? You are the snarkiest. You're the snark tank. You are the snark tank. Thanks to you, Buffs Moms. Go Buffs. And Tammy says, I lost Hulu right after Handmaid's Tale. Well, I think you can get a free trial. So if you can get a free trial, just binge it and then quit your free trial. Or wait until all of it's out, because I think the episodes are coming out weekly, and then go back, and then get your free trial, and then binge it all. Because really, you could probably, knowing you guys, you could probably do it all in one day. And the Goodmans are here, and they gifted 5 memberships too. Wow, you guys will not be outdone. I don't think you need to watch Handmaid's Tale first. I don't know though, but ask people who have watched it. Thank you, Goodmans. I love you guys. The Goodmans are here. They're awesome. All of you are awesome. And the name of it is called The Testaments. Blessed day. Under her eye. We used to say that constantly during the Karen Reed trial. Under her eye. Blessed be the fruit. And I can't really play this because they'll probably strike me, but there's a trailer. And it looks good. I loved Handmaid's Tale. I couldn't wait for each episode to come out. This is called The Testaments, about what it's like to grow up in Gilead. And so there's that. And here's Archie's out there. He's watching the Masters, sitting at a bar with the windows open on this beautiful spring afternoon, watching the Masters and with you in my ear. Oh, look, we can multitask, can't we? Can't we? Thanks, Archie. I don't know. Has Rory won the Masters before? I think he has, right? I remember watching Phil get his first green jacket. Oh, that was so awesome. Wasn't that great? I didn't read the book. All right. We can talk about a couple of nice things before we get into a couple of horrible things with Kelsey. He won it last year. See, I knew it. It was last year for the first time, Larry, for the first time. Yep. People said last year and I cried. It was amazing. It was amazing. I have so many things in my head that sometimes I need you guys to confirm. I love Phil too. I love Phil too. He's not playing this year, he said, because of a family medical condition. And I know that his wife, Amy, has had cancer in the past, and I hope she's okay. But I love it. I love everything about the Masters. I love the azaleas. I love Amen Corner. I love the way they just whisper into the microphone. I love that you can get on the ESPN app and you can watch all different groups and you can watch all different holes and you can, there's so much content. And I love it. I love it. I love it. It's my favorite. It's my favorite major. My favorite of the majors. All right. Let's move on now to Kelsey Fitzsimmons. And despite the fact that she was acquitted of the assault with a dangerous weapon charge by Judge Karp, was that only, I don't know, last week? I don't even remember how long ago it was. She still has a long battle ahead of her to see her son, Caden, who is now 14 months, almost 14 months old. And she hasn't seen him in 10 months. And I don't think that you can put a price on missing out on the developmental milestones, the bonding, the christening, the first birthday, first Christmas, first Thanksgiving of your baby. I don't think there's any amount of money that somebody could pay me to not only miss out on those things, but to be shot in the chest fighting for my life, undergo 5 surgeries, be indicted on felony charges, and then spend 103 days in jail. There's not a check big enough for me. Is there a check big enough for you? Let me know. This is interesting. This is today's Friday, April 10th. This was posted on April 6th on the cesspool of Twitter. Kelsey Fitzsimmons has verified this as being the truth. She said, I just want to confirm this post. It's unfortunately factual. Some people are fueled with evil. She is one. The root of evil is abuse of power. And this is referring to this post on Facebook by Gator Boy. Okay? If you don't know about this, it's going to infuriate you even more. And here's what it says. Just when you think the Kelsey Fitzsimmons story couldn't get any more sad, wait until you hear this. Let's introduce you to Lydia Pacheco, because anyone who kicks people while they're at their lowest point of their life deserves a social media awareness post. Sergeant Pacheco is a correction officer for the Hampden County Sheriff's Office. Kelsey Fitzsimmons was returned to jail in Chicopee, Massachusetts on September 11th, 2025, due to being a young mother in pain with a doctor's note, all because she was having trouble breathing into a scram device after being shot in the chest and suffering a broken rib, something that can cause pain for months. While every other deputy was reportedly extremely professional, this one allegedly made it her mission to make Kelsey's life hell and try to break her. Kelsey went through the initial booking process, including being strip searched, put through a body scan, and then being handcuffed and shackled before being walked to a cell. After only a short walk to the cell, this is when Corporal Pacheco allegedly decided that another strip search was necessary and instantly started what would become 4 months of hell for Fitzsimmons. According to sources, she would allegedly interrupt religious meetings and even attorney-client meetings because she didn't believe Kelsey was using her iPad for the correct thing, in quotes. And if there was another way to make Kelsey's time there harder, sources say she seemed more than willing to do it. But this wasn't even the worst part. The worst part came on December 9th, 2025, when she and another corrections officer allegedly decided it was time for yet another unnecessary body scan, drug test, and a search of Kelsey's cell. During that search, Kelsey's pictures, books, and other personal belongings were allegedly thrown all over the place while they tore through the cell. Then the unthinkable happened. When Kelsey returned to her cell, she found ripped up pictures of her son on the floor. I'm sorry, what? I'm sorry, what? I'm going to read that again. When Kelsey returned to her cell, she found ripped up pictures of her son on the floor. Kelsey later met with the superintendent of the jail, who reportedly showed deep concern over the alleged actions of Pacheco and promised there would be an investigation. As of now, the status of that investigation is still unclear. Between 9/11/2025 and 12/23/2025, roughly 10 complaints were reportedly filed against Officer Pacheco. If this kind of behavior isn't enough to outrage people, I'm honestly not sure what is. Because when someone goes as low as ripping up pictures of someone's child, when that's the one thing holding them together, that is the lowest of the low. And it's not just disgusting behavior, it's inhumane. The post goes on to say, shame on you, Hampton County Sheriff's Office, for employing someone capable of this kind of cruelty. The people in your custody are still human beings. And when you have an officer willing to do things like this, I think it's time to say goodbye. And then there's a call to action. Make sure to join the Justice for Kelsey Fitzsimmons official Facebook group. I think many of you are in that group. And they tried so hard to break her, says Jody. Remember also, Kelsey Fitzsimmons was a corrections officer. Next level cruelty, says just my opinion for you. Way to go, Gator Boy, says Denise Oliver. Snarktastic Sam says, did Pacheco target Kelsey, or is she unprofessional in her duties? Well, all of the people who think that John O'Keefe was hit by a car that have now taken the position that Kelsey Fitzsimmons does not ever deserve to see her baby again are actually defending this by saying, well, you try and kill a cop, that's what you deserve. People who try and kill cops are not looked upon very friendly in the jail system, in the prison system. It is sad. It is sick. It is disgusting. And will anything be done? I don't know. What do you think? And then here's a picture. Page 3 of the Post. Of this corrections officer, Pacheco, on the left, receiving some sort of, I don't know, award, it looks like, at the Hampton County Sheriff's Office. Yeah, she's a cop too. It doesn't matter. Yeah, right. Don't forget she was a cop too. I know. Oh, yeah. They don't. Who does that? Who does that? But we ain't got no quit. We're not shutting up about this. I know you're not shutting up about this. And all of this stuff is going to be exposed. And quite frankly, that is really the only positive thing to come out of the persecutions of Karen Reed and Kelsey Fitzsimmons, is that neither one of them is going to let it go. Neither one of them is going to let it go, right, Microdots? Let's take a look at today's motivational daily calendar quote, because God knows we need it. This is a Thomas Jefferson quote for Friday, April 10th, 2026. Thomas Jefferson said this, and I'm gonna change the word man to woman because I think it's applicable here. Nothing can stop the woman with the right mental attitude from achieving her goal. Nothing on earth can help the woman with the wrong mental attitude. There you go. Yes, I think Michelle Mitchell, the one who testified at her trial, one of her bridesmaids, was also a corrections officer. I don't know where. I'm going to read that again for those of you who need to see it, hear it again. Nothing can stop the woman with the right mental attitude from achieving her goal. Nothing on earth can help the woman with the wrong mental attitude. Thomas Jefferson. There's that. And then we need an empowerment card of the day. Gross. Oh, she was a corrections officer in Essex County. Thank you, Lori. Thank you, little cupcake, for another great quote. Brutality is not strength. It is a weakness of character. Oh, I like that. I like that a lot. A lot of bullies out there on the internet, aren't there? Here we go. Here's the one from the middle of the deck. Our empowerment card of the day. Do more of what makes you happy. Do more of what makes you happy. Whoever needed to hear that today and every day. Horrific. But I wish I could say that I'm even surprised by things like this when we learn about them and read about them. And I can't say that I'm even surprised. I have come to expect the worst and hope for the best. Thank you, On Top, for your super sticker. Holly and Johnny says, thanks for all you do, Melanie. My hubby and I thoroughly love watching you. Also, thanks for allowing the snark. Oh, thank you. Just do not bash all cops in my chat. Don't do it. You will be timed out, and I back my moderators up 100%. I don't time anybody out. I don't block anybody. I have moderators for that. We back the blue here 100%. Nobody hates a bad cop more than a good cop. So if you come in here and you make generalizations about how all cops are bad, there's going to be a timeout coming. And don't cry about it. Just like deal with it for 10 seconds, okay? Jody says, how do you get your hair to look like that with Dyson? It's a Dyson. I don't know. You have to do it both ways. Jody, you have to go one way and then do some of it going the other way, the opposite way. I use the long barrel heat blower thing. Thank you, Jody, for your fun. Nora says hello to my husband who's watching from the next room. We both love you. Oh my God. So thank you, Nora, Miss Garbage Brain. Thanks, Nora. Why don't you guys watch together? Thanks for tuning in from across the pond. All right, let's get to it because this is going to be a very painful document to read. And this is plaintiff's verified motion. Well, let's start with the other one first. Well, this one is short. He wants a guardian ad litem. Let's go to this one first. Remember, in this action, Justin Aylaian is the plaintiff. He's the one who ran to court to get temporary custody and the day after the shooting. Oh, yes, he did. And this is the plaintiff's verified motion for appointment of a Category E guardian ad litem. Let me tell you what a Category E guardian ad litem is in Massachusetts. Let's keep that on. In Massachusetts, a Category E, there are a couple of different categories of guardian ad litem. And in Massachusetts, a Category E guardian ad litem is appointed by the probate and family court to investigate and evaluate facts in cases involving the care and custody of minor children and other matters that implicate the interests or rights of children. It differs from other categories in that this Category E guardian ad litem specializes in mental health. And so a Category E guardian ad litem is usually a mental health professional who will take the investigation one step further than an attorney who would be a Category F guardian ad litem. And they interview the parties, they interview witnesses, they interview whoever they want to interview to render a report, to do an investigation, to report back to the court. And the report includes their medical, psychiatric, or psychological opinion in the report they file with the court about which parent is better suited for custody, what the custody arrangement should be. And they help the judge in determining custody. If you want to get into this a little bit deeper, you can go to the Massachusetts Category E Guardian Ad Litem Evaluator Standards, and that is under mass.gov. I'll just put that over here, and I'll link it for you below. But as always, in any custody petition, it's always what's in the best interests of the child. That is paramount. What is in the best interests of the child? And so now comes plaintiff Justin Aylaian. Oh, hold please. I keep losing my screen. And respectfully moves this honorable court to appoint a suitable person as a Category E guardian ad litem pursuant to General Law 215, Section 56A. That's where you can find the statute if you feel the need to Google it and read more about it, to investigate the issues of mental health, physical custody, legal custody, and a parenting plan relative to the minor child. In support hereof, Father incorporates by reference plaintiff's verified motion for temporary orders filed herewith, and further states as follows. Kelsey Fitzsimmons and Father have one child together, Caden, age 13 months, born February 16th, 2025. The parties last lived together on or around June 28th, 2025 at 125 Phillipsbrook Road, Massachusetts, North Andover, Massachusetts. Well, that's interesting. That's interesting that he's swearing in these papers that they last lived together on June 28th. Because when he broke into her home and broke the door down and took all the things from her home, it was after June 28th of 2025. The shooting was on June 30th. And what was the day of his break-in? It escapes me right now, but it was after the shooting. On July 1st, 2025, Father filed a complaint for custody, support, and parenting time amended on August 8th, 2025, requesting legal and physical custody of Caden. It was July 3rd. Thank you, Suze. That's what I thought. It was around there. On October 22nd, 2025, Mother and Father entered into a stipulation for temporary orders on Father's verified motion for temporary orders, agreeing that Father be granted legal and physical custody of Caden. And we went over that stipulation back when it happened. The parties further agreed that Mother shall have no parenting time, as Mother was ordered to remain away from Caden pending her criminal trial for assault with a dangerous weapon in Essex Superior Court. Right. And she was in custody. She was in jail until 2 days before Christmas. Hold, please. Throughout the parties' relationship, Mother frequently exhibited erratic and aggressive behavior, causing significant problems in the parties' co-parenting relationship, as factually detailed within plaintiff's verified motion for temporary orders, filed herewith and incorporated by reference. We're going to read that next. Father is deeply concerned about the child's safety and the status of Mother's mental health. Father has repeatedly made efforts to co-parent effectively in the best interests of Caden. I'm sorry, when exactly? When did you do that? When you stood her up at the park? When you came to collect your firearms and you wouldn't hold the baby? When exactly did you repeatedly make efforts to co-parent effectively? Father is concerned that Mother's previous violent tendencies and struggles relative to her mental health will negatively impact Mother's ability to parent Caden. Caden is currently 13 months old and unable to communicate about his safety and well-being while in Mother's care. Well, he hasn't seen her since he was taken from her on June 30th of 2025, before she was shot. Given these circumstances and the fact that Mother's criminal trial is over, it is in the child's best interest that this court appoint a Category E guardian ad litem to provide the court with information in terms of understanding the state of Mother's mental health and what an appropriate custody and parenting plan should be, given the circumstances of this case and the child's age. In further support of this motion, Father relies on arguments advanced by counsel at the time of the hearing on this matter. I believe this hearing is scheduled for next Tuesday, the 14th. Wherefore, Father moved this honorable court to enter an order appointing a Category E guardian ad litem to investigate and make recommendations on the issues of mental health, physical custody, legal custody, and parenting plan related to the minor child. 2, order that both parties be equally responsible for the payment of all expenses related to the guardian ad litem investigation. 3, permit counsel for each party to obtain a copy of the guardian ad litem report, provided that neither party shall release to the parties or any other third parties any copies of the guardian ad litem report, and for the parties to review such report in the offices of their respective counsel. XOXO, Justin Aylaian. This was filed or dated. It's dated April 3rd, 2026. I imagine this is something that the court will likely grant. This is not uncommon for a guardian ad litem to be appointed in contentious cases like this is turning out to be. Laren D says, "You are still my hero. Thanks for all you do." Oh, thank you for your very generous 20. Thank you, Laren D Designs. Diana Miller, welcome to membership. And Ellen says, "Melanie, remember the only hearing with Judge Black where Justin and his attorney could not say his address or when he lived where. That's why I always wonder if Karma really knows his address when he doesn't even seem to." Well done. Well done, Ellen from Denmark. Well done. Thank you for your very generous super chat. And a happy 1 year to us, Carrie Bishop. I love you with all of my heart too. We have nothing if not very loyal viewers, huh? And generous. Andrea says, every single thing is about money with Justin, probably including custody, no child support. Why else can't you hold your baby, but you want him full time? Many people think that it's his mother is behind this, and that maybe it's his mother and his sister Courtney who really want the baby, and really never liked Kelsey to begin with. I don't know. That's what people think. That's just like word on the street. Moving on to the next document, which is the one that you guys tell me is pretty gross and outrageous. And here it is. This is plaintiff's verified motion for further temporary orders, filed by Justin Aylaian. Let's make this a little bigger for you. Many of you like to read along on the screen. Hopefully it's clear and you can read it. Just a gentle reminder for everyone to smash the like button. I promise Massachusetts State Police won't get your DNA. And even if they did, they wouldn't know what to do with it. Canton PD never even asked for it. Neither did MSP, never even asked for Matthew Farwell's DNA. Well, they did ask, actually. There is a letter out that they did ask, but he declined. And they decided they weren't going to get a warrant for Matthew Farwell's DNA, even though it turned out that his sperm was found in Sandra Birchmore's underwear, which begs the question, did he just go over there for one last banger before he took her life with a strap and set it up to look like she took her own life? I don't know. I have questions. Repulsive. Plaintiff verified motion for further temporary orders. Now comes the plaintiff, Justin Aylaian, in the above and captioned matter by and through counsel, and all references to parties shall mean father and the defendant, Kelsey E. Fitzsimmons, hereinafter mother, collectively. And they are asking that the court enter the following temporary orders with regard to the above captioned matter. 1, custody and parenting time. The father shall continue to have legal and physical custody of the party's child. This is what they're asking for. This is not what is being ordered. This is what they're asking the court to order. Caden, age 13 months. 2, mother's supervised parenting time. Mother shall have weekly supervised parenting time with the child 1 time per week for up to 5 hours at the Center for Achieving Balance for Children, located in Medford, Middlesex County, Massachusetts, until further agreement of the parties or court order. That's all he wants to let her have. 5 hours, 1 time a week. Mother shall be responsible for any and all costs relative to the supervision services. That is also not uncommon. These things cost money. Somebody's got to pay. And you can tell me how it is in Massachusetts, but usually, sometimes the parties are required to split the costs, and sometimes it's the party who's visiting that has to pay. It's usually an hourly fee, and I'm not quite sure how exactly they do it in Massachusetts. The Supervision Center shall comply with the Massachusetts Probate and Family Court Standing Order I or 1-23, which incorporates the guidelines for professional parenting time supervisors, including but not limited to maintaining observation notes, reports, and supervised parenting time logs, which shall be provided to counsel for the parties. Well, I don't know that this judge has jurisdiction over the Supervision Center and can tell them what to do. But again, I don't practice family law in Massachusetts. 3, social media. Both parties shall be prohibited from posting photographs and or videos of the child and all communications relative to the child, including but not limited to communications on Our Family Wizard, on the internet, and on any and all forms of social media, and shall not permit any third party to do so until further agreement of the parties or order of the court. Our Family Wizard is an app that is used in very contentious divorce and custody cases. And many times courts order it as the only way that the parties are allowed to communicate. They're not allowed to text. They're not allowed to email. They're not allowed to call each other. All communications are done through Our Family Wizard and are tracked. Jess Machado said, Angel says, Jess Machado called Achieving Balance on a live. They don't want to do more than 3 hours at a time, and it's $100 an hour. They don't want to do it. Well, maybe it would have to be split up into 2 different days. It depends on what the judge orders. This is just what they're asking for. And typically you ask for everything and then you have room to negotiate on certain items, right? Ask for it all, and then you always have room to negotiate. Hold, please. Four, mother's mental health treatment. The mother shall continue to participate in her mental health treatment. Father, through counsel, shall be provided with information relative to what mental health treatment the mother's receiving. Yeah, I don't know about that. Okay, there's this thing called HIPAA. I mean, maybe the court can be advised, but I don't know that he needs to be advised. I don't know that he's got that right. Jess also said it's a $500 fee for the initial visit. I'm not surprised. I gotta tell you, I'm not surprised. It's a moneymaker. It's a moneymaker. Priscilla says 5 hours is a lot at one time with a toddler who requires naps. Yeah, you would think that Justin would know that, right? But apparently didn't even come into play. He didn't even think about that. Thank you, Team Brittany. Please do not say things as fact unless you have proof of a fact. Heard somewhere, in quotes, is not a fact. All right, moving on. Hair follicle test. Mother shall submit to a 14-panel hair follicle test within 5 days of the issuance of this order to test for drugs and alcohol. Mother shall provide father through counsel the results of said hair follicle test immediately upon receipt of same. Again, I don't know that he's entitled to those results. Maybe the court could be, but I don't know that he would be. And quite frankly, sir, you better want what you wish for, because what's good for the goose is good for the gander. And we've seen video evidence of something that you're smoking. And also now, Justin, it seems to be on suspension from North Andover Fire Department. Anybody know if he's been reinstated? Sounds like he's in charge of everything, or he wants to be. Maybe you should both be tested. 6, Our Family Wizard. The parties shall forthwith download Our Family Wizard. The parties shall communicate via Our Family Wizard only, absent emergency relative to the child. The parties shall not disseminate or copy any Our Family Wizard communications between them except with their respective legal counsel. Review date. This matter shall be scheduled for a review hearing on or around 60 days. As grounds, therefore, the father states as follows. The audacity of him. The audacity. James says, I hope the Guardian favors Kelsey as it should. Well, they're supposed to be impartial, and they're going to do a thorough investigation if the judge allows it, which I believe the judge will. So that remains to be seen. Thank you, James. And Iman says, when Kelsey gets her baby back, can the courts turn around and give just and supervised visits after all the evidence and not guilty verdict against Kelsey? Well, the court can do what the court wants to do. And if the court orders the guardian ad litem be appointed to investigate this matter and interview witnesses and collect records and things, the court has wide discretion. Thank you very much for your 5. As grounds, therefore, father states as follows. Brief background and procedural history. The parties were never married and have one child together, namely Kate and Aylaian, who's 13 months old. The parties last resided together with the child at 125 Phillipsbrook Road, North Andover, Massachusetts, until on or about June 27th of 2025. Well, he keeps changing the date. Is it June 27th? Is it June 28th? And if that's the last time you resided there, why did you pretend that you had every right to break the door down after the locks were changed, go into her house? We saw it on video. Go to the basement, disconnect the alarm system, rip out the surveillance system, disconnect the modem, steal her laptop, money, gift cards, evidence off the refrigerator, and then take the laptop to your parents' house and transfer money and other things and go into her private medical records and her pension documents, maybe changing around some beneficiaries. I don't know. But he's swearing that this is true. And so, but we know they're never going to prosecute him. They told us they're not going to prosecute him. They don't think there was any crime here. So whatevs. The father presently resides with the child's parents' home, with the child at his parents' home in Stowe, Massachusetts. The father does not currently know for certain where the mother resides, but upon information and belief, father believes she now resides in Newburyport, Essex County, Massachusetts. The father is employed as an EMT firefighter with the North Andover Fire Department and is currently on paid administrative leave. That's right. He's on paid administrative leave right now. Guess they're investigating. The mother was formerly employed as a police officer at the North Andover Police Department. On July 14th, 2025, mother's law enforcement certification was suspended. Upon information and belief, mother's employment with the town of North Andover was terminated. So I don't know that for a fact. They don't know it for a fact. That's why it is preceded by upon information and belief. It is unknown as to whether or not mother is presently employed. The investigation hasn't begun, and so I don't know when it will be completed. It could take a couple of months. 7, on or about June 30th, 2025, the father sought and obtained an emergency abuse prevention order pursuant to General Law Section 209A from the Essex County Probate and Family Court, Judge Ulwick, granting him custody of the child and ordering mother to have no contact with the father or the child. Well, first of all, it was temporary custody, not permanent custody. And it was this filing and the service of this order that led to the chain of events involving Officer Noonan shooting Kelsey Fitzsimmons in the chest. On or about July 1st, 2025, father filed a complaint for custody the day after she was shot and airlifted to Massachusetts General. Support parenting time pursuant to the Massachusetts General Law in the Essex Probate and Family Court. On or about July 3rd, 2025, mother was criminally charged with 1, armed assault to murder, 2, assault with a dangerous weapon, and 3, assault with a dangerous weapon. They didn't waste any time charging her. 3 days, she was in the hospital, and no charges for Noonan. And now we looked yesterday the new case that David Yannetti is handling for the officer who is being prosecuted for shooting a carjacker. His client's name is Nicholas O'Malley, and we got into that a little bit yesterday, and you guys have told me that you want to cover it, and so we will continue to cover it. Mother was subsequently indicted for assault with a dangerous weapon. An extension hearing on father's 209A abuse prevention order against mother, issued June 30th, 2025, was scheduled for July 14th of 2025. On or about July 11th, 2025, mother, through counsel, requested a continuance of the 209A extension hearing, to which father agreed. Oh, wasn't that so nice of you, considering she was fighting for her life in the hospital and undergoing 5 surgeries? So nice of you to grant the adjournment. A joint motion to continue was filed on July 11th, 2025, which was allowed. The court extended the 209A order and continued the extension hearing to August 1, 2025. On or about August 1, 2025, counsel for both parties and father appeared for the extension hearing. The court's calendar could not accommodate a full evidentiary hearing, and as such, the court extended the 209A order and continued the extension hearing to September 23, 2025 at 8:30 a.m. at the Essex Probate and Family Court in Salem before the Honorable Mary Black. So fitting that it's in Salem, isn't it? On or about August 8th, 2025, father filed an amended complaint for custody support parenting time pursuant to the Massachusetts General Law 209C in the Essex Probate and Family Court. The mother was served with the father's complaint for custody support parenting time on September 5th, 2025. On or about September 16th, 2025. Okay, so here's what had happened. What had happened was Judge Kathleen McCarthy Nyman had agreed to let Kelsey out on her own recognizance with conditions on or about, if I recall correctly, it was around August 28th. And the media reported that she had been released, but she wasn't released because the judge, McCarthy Nyman, wanted criminal checks on everyone living in the house. And that took a while. And so she wasn't officially actually released from Chicopee until about something like the 8th of September. So she was held for something like an additional 10 days before she was allowed to be released. And the judge actually ordered that her stepbrother move out of the house in order for Kelsey to be allowed to go live with her mother and her stepfather. Mainstream media got it wrong. We didn't, though, because we went back and listened to it. And so during the time that she was still in jail, because she had not yet been released, he ran back into court. Or he served her. Well, he had to serve her in jail on September 5th. Then she got out. Then she was thrown back in September 11th. Right? Oh, please. On or about September 16th, the father filed a verified motion for temporary order, a motion to attach real estate for the payment of child support. Right. Remember, he wanted all the proceeds of her house sale to go to him for child support until the baby was like 18 years old. And an affidavit in support thereof. When you thought it couldn't get any grosser. And then on October 15th, 2025, father filed a plaintiff's verified emergency ex parte motion to advance the motion hearing and an affidavit of counsel in support thereof. On or about October 15th, 2025, father filed a motion for short order on notice of plaintiff's verified motion for temporary orders, which was allowed by the court that same day. On or about October 15th, 2025, after administrative review by Judge Yee issued a short order scheduling a hearing on father's verified motion for temporary orders and motion to attach real estate for payment of child support for October 23rd, 2025. And that's when I told you, I said my nickname of just in it for the money was right on point. Kelsey had to sell her home that was in her name only to pay her attorney's fees, and he wanted to attach the proceeds. On or about October 27th, 2025, the mother filed defendant's motion for a writ of habeas corpus due to mother's then incarceration, which was allowed by the court, Judge Black, after administrative review that same day. On or about October 22nd, the mother filed assented to motion to file answer and counterclaim late, which was allowed by Judge Black. On October 24th, 2025, and mother's answer and counterclaim to father's amended complaint. On or about October 26th of 2025, the parties filed joint memorandum regarding venue. On or about, remember the court was concerned about whether venue should be changed to the county in which Stowe is in a different county. I think Stowe is in Middlesex County, and the residence of the child and the mother and Justin, up until he filed his petition, was in Essex County. And there was a hearing. It was televised. I believe that we watched it, and they agreed to keep the venue in Essex County. The judge had questions, though. She was like, I don't know if I even have the jurisdiction to rule on this. But eventually they did keep venue in Essex County, which is where it currently sits. On or about October 21, 2025, the parties entered into a stipulation for temporary orders on plaintiff's verified motion for temporary orders, which provided in pertinent part as follows. And I remember we went over this. It's the motion for temporary orders. And I told you at the time, and I'm still standing by this today, that it is always, always better for parties in any contentious, any divorce, custody, parenting, alimony issues, child support. It is always better for the parties to agree, always better, because you do not want some judge who does not know your family deciding your financial future and where the custody of your children goes and who gets how much time. It is always better to agree. And I will stand by that 100%. Here's what the temporary orders stated that they both agreed to. This was agreed to. And remember, Kelsey was still back in jail, and she was not released until 2 days before Christmas. Custody and parenting time. I'm just going to summarize this because I don't want to read it word for word. That the father had the father at that time, they agreed that Justin would have legal and physical custody of Caden. He was 8 months at the time. And that the father was granted custody pursuant to the 209A order, and the mother was ordered not to contact the father or the child. The parties further acknowledged that the mother was currently being held without bail in the Western Massachusetts Regional Women's Correctional Center, pending a criminal trial on a charge for assault with a dangerous weapon in Essex Superior. In that matter, mother was ordered to remain away from the child. And there's a lot of questions about whether or not Judge McCarthy-Nyman was even allowed to, under color of law, was even allowed to make that part of her bail conditions. And I think we know now that there is some sort of an investigation into Judge Kathleen McCarthy-Nyman. And that has been made public as far as I know, correct? Hold, please. And so at that time, they agreed that as such, the mother had would have no parenting time. It was also agreed that child support would be paid beginning October 23rd, 2025. The mother would pay the father. Kelsey was to pay Justin $12 per week. $12 per week, which is the minimum child support orders pursuant to the guidelines. Remember, she was in jail. He still wanted her $12 a week, $48 a month, which maybe would buy you, I don't know, one jumbo pack of Pampers. And here's how it was agreed that the child support would be paid. The parties agreed that Kelsey's house was up for sale, and that on August 22nd, she listed it for sale, and that mother accepted a contingent offer for someone who was going to purchase the property. And then the parties agreed that from the net proceeds after the closing of the home, $50,000 would be given to Justin's attorney to be held in escrow, and that Justin would get, after closing, 50 grand to his attorney to be held in escrow, and that from that money, his attorney would pay him the $12 a week from the escrow account to satisfy the child support obligation. It was also agreed that the father would maintain the health insurance for the child. But now that he's on suspension and he could be fired, I don't know what's going to happen to the health insurance. We're going to have to find out. And then it was agreed that the parties would share equally any uninsured medical, dental, and vision expenses, 50-50, except father would cover the first $250 a year in uninsured expenses. And they would submit receipts to the attorneys, etc. It was also agreed that the parties would share equally 50-50 in any all child care or daycare expenses for the child, and that they had to submit receipts to the attorneys. And that money too for Kelsey would come out of the attorney's escrow account to be paid by the attorney to Justin. Communication between the parties, it says, as noted above, the mother is prohibited from contacting the father and the child. That said, the parties agree that the father will share updates about the child, such as his diet, general well-being, development, medical and dental appointments, new activities, discoveries, evolving likes and dislikes, milestones, for example, first steps, first words, as well as photographs and or videos of the child to the father's counsel on the 15th and 30th of every month. Wonder if he's been keeping up with that. Father's counsel shall share the same with mother's counsel within 24 hours of the receipt of same. This was agreed to by both parties. When Kelsey was in jail, October 21st of 2025. That's when this was agreed to. Then there was an agreement about the child's baptism. If and or when the child is baptized, the father shall ensure that the ceremony is video recorded. The father shall send father's counsel the video of the baptism that same day, and the father's counsel shall forward the same to mother's counsel. The parties agree that the mother's sister Madison may attend the baptism. Madison was supposed to be Caden's godmother. She's the only member of the Fitzsimmons family that was allowed to attend the baptism. And if you remember the text messages between Justin's mother, Lisa, and somebody over at the Stowe Police Department, it seemed that she was very, very, very worried that they were going to try and crash the baptism. And she wanted the Stowe Police to do extra drive-bys during the baptism. Do you remember that? I do. 21. On or about October 27th, 2025, the court, Judge Black, entered a temporary order which provided as follows. Essex County Probate Court shall retain venue of the matter. Counsel shall submit the written colloquy of their respective clients, and the court will act administratively on the stipulation and enter a temporary order, all until further order from the court, and the matter shall be scheduled for review on February 25th of 2026. On or about October 28th of 2025, the parties filed a joint affidavit of colloquy relative to the stipulation for temporary orders on plaintiff's verified motion for temporary order. So many words, so much legalese. And plaintiff's motion to attach real estate for the payment of child support. So they agreed to all of these things and signed off on it. And then on October 28th, the court, by Judge Black, entered a temporary order incorporating all of these things into the temporary orders. On or about October 30th, 2025, the father filed a reply to mother's counterclaim to father's amended complaint for custody support and parenting time. Filed August 8th, 2025. On or about February 24th, 2025. I think that should say 2026. But if nobody proofreads in Massachusetts. It should say 2026, but it doesn't. The parties filed a joint motion to continue review hearing currently scheduled for February 25, 2026, which was allowed by the court, Judge Black, on February 25th, 2026. The review hearing was rescheduled to April 14th, 2026. And that is what is happening on Tuesday. On or about March 12th, 2026, the Superior Court Judge Karp issued an order amending the condition of the mother's release. I didn't cry, you cried. The modified conditions were as follows. 1, Kelsey was allowed to change her address. 2, it struck the requirement that she reside with her mother and stepfather. 3, it struck the requirement that she stay away and have no contact with her child. And 4, it required home inspections and searches by the probation department for the presence of weapons and alcohol. And remember, that is when Kelsey finally was able to sign a lease on a new townhouse, nest for her baby, and get ready for the eventual reunification of mother and child. On or about March 11th, 2026, mother filed mother's motion for further temporary orders and an affidavit in support hereof. A hearing on mother's motion is currently scheduled for April 23rd, 2026. On or about March 26, 2026, after a bench trial at which mother and father testified, the Essex Superior Court Judge Karp found mother not guilty of assault by means of a dangerous weapon. I think we all cried that day too. March 26. Was that only 2 weeks ago? It was only 2 weeks ago. Doesn't it feel like a lot longer than 2 weeks ago that we watched that together? Roman 2, legal standard. Custody. In issuing any temporary or permanent custody orders, the probate and family court shall consider evidence of past or present abuse towards a parent or child as a factor contrary to the best interests of the child. And that is shall, that is not optional. Where there is a finding of a pattern or serious incident of abuse, the judge must employ a rebuttable presumption that the sole or shared custody with the abusive parent is not in the child's best interest. Citing a case from 2015. While there is no definitive checklist of factors to determine the best interests of the child, we consider certain constants, such as which parent has been the primary caretaker of and formed the strongest bonds with the child, the need for stability and continuity in the child's life, the decision-making capabilities of each parent to address the child's needs, and the living arrangements and lifestyles of each parent, and how such circumstances may affect the child. Guess who knew all of this? Guess who knew all of the standards and everything they were going to need to prove in family court? Just guess. And ask yourself, was all of this scripted in such a way to meet all of these qualifications? Because Kelsey, through Justin's actions and Noonan's actions, and in part her own actions, has not seen her child since June 30th. And so, of course, he's had more bonding time with the child because it's been 10 months. And Caden was only 4 months old when he was taken away from Kelsey. Justin's parents, it has also been publicly stated, have helped many other families involuntarily commit their children through the court system. And so they're no strangers to the courtroom. It's public information. For joint custody or shared responsibility to work, both parents must be able to mutually agree on basic issues in child rearing and want to cooperate in making decisions for their children. The general law governs the custody of children in Massachusetts, which defines shared legal custody as the, quote, continued mutual responsibility and involvement by both parents in major decisions regarding the child's welfare, including matters of education, medical care, and emotional, moral, and religious development. Joint legal custody requires parents to have a willingness and ability to work together to reach results on major decisions in a manner similar to the way married couples make decisions. Joint legal custody is synonymous with joint decision-making and a common desire to promote the children's best interests. As such, parties sharing legal custody of a child must have open communication and dialogue on all major life issues and decisions concerning the child. Parties must work together to ensure that all decisions are made after a meeting of the minds between both parents. Let's go to the chat for a moment. The dash in between says he sounds like my ex. Thanks for tuning in down under, and I'm very sorry. And for your super chat. Craft Haskell says from across the pond, obvious to see the connect with what his parents are involved in and the demands being made here. So vindictive. Baby Kaden will grow up better with Kelsey. Thank you for your thoughts and your super chat. Dash in between said he needs a one-way ticket to T-Rex Island. Thank you for another super chat. And Gail Taylor says, the guardian ad litem clocks everything, will speak for the child, are involved near the end of case, reporting back to the court, overseeing social workers' recommendations. Thanks for tuning in from across the pond. This particular category of guardian ad litem does not represent the child. There is another category of guardian ad litem that could be appointed to represent a child, but this particular one does not do that. Just to clarify. Thank you for tuning in from across the pond and for your super chat. Carrie says, I think she should take him to Judge Judy. Thanks for being here for 5 months. And Judge Judy might be a breath of fresh air in this case. I don't have a lot of experience or any experience except for the one hearing that we watched. Was that Judge Black? The one hearing that was televised from October? I have it pulled up in case we have time to watch it. I will keep it under advisement. Roman 3, argument. A, the child is healthy, thriving, and well cared for. As noted above, and pursuant to several court orders, the father has had legal and physical custody of the child since June 30th of 2025, which is just over 9 months. The child is healthy, thriving, well cared for, and is meeting all of his developmental milestones. Footnote 1, which says, father has kept mother apprised as to the child's development with monthly updates, which also include photos and videos of the child. Prior to the birth of the child, and while mother was pregnant, father attended all OBGYN appointments with the mother. Father also attended in-person mental health appointments for the mother during her pregnancy to ensure both her and the baby's well-being. Okay, so he's saying that she was undergoing mental health treatments during her pregnancy. Since Kaden was born, the father has attended the vast majority, if not all, of his scheduled pediatric appointments. Okay, well, which is it? The vast majority or all of them? How many pediatrician appointments? Typically, at that age, a child goes, what, once a month to the pediatrician? So there would have been 9 visits, and you can't remember if you went to all of them or a vast majority of them. Who took him the other times? Now he's not working, exactly, so now he can. Prior to the parties' separation, when the father was not working to financially support the family, the father was at home taking care of the child. On or about June 30th of 2025, father was granted legal and physical custody of the child pursuant to the 209A abuse prevention order he obtained against mother. Again, it was temporary. Temporary. They don't even add temporary in here. It was temporary, and there was to be a hearing in 14 days, which to Kelsey was a lifetime. She told us that on the stand. When Gubitosi asked her a question like something like, well, I mean, it was only 14 days, right? Didn't they tell you that you could have a hearing in 14 days and then come to court? And Kelsey said something like, and I'm summarizing, well, maybe you think 14 days isn't a long time, but for me, and when my baby is 4 months old, 14 days is like 4,000 years. I don't remember exactly what she said. I'm just summarizing. Hold, please. But I do recall that she said it in a much nicer tone than I would have said it. On or about October 21st, 2025, the parties agreed, pursuant to the stipulation for temporary orders on plaintiff's verified motion for temporary orders, blah, 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 that the father would continue to have legal and physical custody of the child and that the mother would have no parenting time. Right, because she was in jail. She was in the pokey, where some abusive monster of a female correction officer was ripping up her pictures of her child and throwing them around the room and strip searching her at every possible chance she got and at every turn. Since obtaining legal and physical custody of the child nearly 9 months ago, the father has been the child's primary caregiver. Really? Has he been, though? Has he been, or has his mother been? Father is responsible for Caden's day-to-day care, including but not limited to feeding him, clothing him, bathing him, putting him to bed, playing with him, reading to him, scheduling and transporting him to his medical appointments, etc. When the father's at work, the father's parents, Caden's paternal grandparents, care for the child. Remember? Because I do. There was a text exchange between Kelsey and Justin, and they were fighting. I think it was the day of the shooting, because Kelsey wanted to send Caden to daycare, and Justin wouldn't have it because his mother wanted to watch the baby. I don't know. Do you think that could have been the catalyst for all of this? Justin said, because we listened to some phone calls between Justin and Katie Gerke, a sergeant at North Andover PD, Kelsey's employer. We listened to some phone calls in which Justin and his sister Courtney kept calling to say, what can we do? Kelsey says she wants to take the baby to her land. Her land is in New Hampshire. What can we do to stop her? And it wasn't Sergeant Gerke, but it was another male police officer who said, well, there's really nothing you can do. She's the baby's mother. Like, there's no orders in place. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I remember. I will escalate this. That's right. He did say that. I will escalate this, attorney of peace. Since June 30th of 2025, the child's pediatrician. Okay. I have questions about this pediatrician. I know that I have the smartest chat on the internet. There's probably at least one or two pediatricians in here. I would venture to guess. Maybe watching in between patients. Tell me if you've ever put this in any medical record of any child ever. Since June 30th, 2025, the child's pediatrician has confirmed several times in office visit notes that the child is doing very well. And on at least one occasion notes that this is, quote, particularly due to him living with the father's family in Stowe. Really? Is the pediatrician a friend of the family? Is the pediatrician a member of the family? Is the pediatrician really going to get involved in a contentious custody battle that's all over the news to give the opinion that the child is doing well, particularly due to him living with the father and father's family in Stowe? Come on. Come on. Here's Cindy. She's a nurse. She's retired. She said, no, never, never, never would put that in a medical record. Mary Lou says his goal is parental alienation. Look at the title of my stream today. Look at the thumbnail. Parental alienation. Same pediatrician? I don't know. I think they did keep the baby with the same pediatrician, I believe. Wait, but hold on, because Pugnacious Paralegal says Stowe is like an hour away from North Andover. That would likely be 2 hours extra a day to drive him. I would have said no too. Hold, please. Denise says, give us the pediatrician. Aunt Bibi says, BS, how much did that cost? Sir Wiggles pointing out they only write objective and measurable things in medical notes. Jen Fox says the doctor would drop them if he or she needed to testify. Exo Nicole says that probably it's a family pediatrician who Justin and his sisters went to, so there's a long, long history there. Amber says, I would never write that as a nurse in a chart. You know how much I love my nurses. The nurses are the unsung heroes of the medical profession. Who watches the pit? Shelley says, must be a friend of the family, or this is false, because in what world would a pediatrician willingly involve themselves in a family court battle? Nate Taylor says, no effing way a pediatrician would put that in writing. Oh, Sweetie No says, no way in hell. Lindsay says, a doctor would never say that because he has nothing to compare it to. Also, does this doctor know about Justin's habits? Just Steph says, they better bring receipts. Okay, moving on. Law Junkie says, also, early intervention worker here. We are never allowed to give opinions on parents. We can only report facts from assessments and evaluations. We are never allowed to give opinions on parents. Thank you, Law Junkie 33. Thank you for doing the Lord's work as an early intervention worker. Shannon says, if a doctor ever wrote this, shame. Working in healthcare for 26 years, I've never seen something this subjective documented. I told you we have the smartest chat on the internet. And as Nancy says, the family court judge asked Justin about the pediatrician. Justin responded that he discussed with the pediatrician in North Andover moving closer to a pediatrician in Stowe. Thank you, Nancy, for reminding us of that. Yes, Journeys of Peace. Journeys of Peace says, I would believe, quote, child is doing well, living primarily with father and family. Right. Because look what's in parentheses here. Quote, it says, quote, particularly, and then in parens, it says, due to him, end parens, living with the father and father's family in Stowe. I mean, if they're like lying to the court, that's not going to look good for them. Camilla says, I wonder how many mothers will remove this doctor for his or her interference in a custody case. Moving on, in or around July of 2025, the father enrolled the child in early intervention with Minuteman ARC for Human Services. I don't know what that is. The father and the child initially met with Kathy Romeo, hereinafter Ms. Romeo, an early intervention development specialist every week. Okay, well, Law Junkie, you're here. Tell us why a child who is 4 or 5 months old would be enrolled in early intervention. I'm counting on you, Law Junkie. Are you in Massachusetts? So he met with Kathy Romeo every week. At the recommendation of Ms. Romeo, and as a result of the child's progress, the visits were reduced to bi-weekly beginning in September of 2025 and then monthly in January 2026. Craftastical says, baby C was born 5 weeks early. I'm sure that it was advised that he should have early intervention. My twins were born at 31 weeks. They were in the NICU for 4 and 5 weeks, respectively. They never had early intervention. And they never needed it. They were feeders and growers. I don't know. I think we would have heard whether Caden had to remain in the NICU after birth. And I don't think that he was. Oh, well, that makes more sense to me, the Goodmans. No, where was this? Patricia says, because the aliens are an intervention kind of family. KLT. Oh, KLT. Let me tell you something. KLT forces former NICU nurse here not needed for that. My babies were in there for 4 and 5 weeks. I tell everyone I know who's pregnant, I will shout it from the rooftops. When you are pregnant, tour the NICU because you never know if you're going to have a preemie. And it is so scary that you get to go home and your baby or babies are kept in the NICU for 4 and 5 weeks. And it is heartbreaking to be discharged from the hospital and your babies have to stay in the hospital. I can cry just thinking about it. And it was decades ago. And the NICU nurses are angels from heaven. Angels from heaven. NICU nurses and hospice nurses, angels from heaven. All of you, all the nurses are angels from heaven. Yeah, probably to make him look good, right? This doesn't make sense to me either. You know, I'm a grammar snob. First, the child met with the specialist every week. At the recommendation of Ms. Romeo, and as a result of the child's progress, the visits were reduced to biweekly. Is it just me, or does biweekly mean twice a week? So if they're reduced, they wouldn't be biweekly. Maybe they would be bi-monthly, but that's just me. Deborah says 2 of her sons had early intervention due to speech, but not until they were 2 or 3 years old. Right. I'm wondering what a baby would go into early intervention at 4 months old. Did his mother recommend it to show like some sort of he's doing all the right things kind of thing? So Buff's mom says agreed, but baby nurses and hospice nurses are that much extra. Jen Fox is absolutely heartbreaking. I lost it when they kicked me out of the hospital. I would sit in the NICU for the whole entire day and evening. Yeah, I know. I feel you. If you know, you know. Yeah. And then monthly in January 2026. Ms. Romeo has stated in her notes that the child continues to make great progress, is getting stronger and growing, and is a good eater. Ms. Romeo has further noted that dad continues to be the child's favorite person. What? Law Junkie 33, I need you back here. This is the early intervention specialist. Would you ever put this in your notes? That dad continues to be Caden's favorite person? Biweekly means every other week? All right, well, I have to apologize then if I'm wrong, but I thought biweekly was twice a week. Biweekly versus semi-monthly. Biweekly, every 2 weeks or twice a week, it says. It's both, every 2 weeks or twice a week. Okay, moving on. Boop. I guess we're both right. According to them. It can mean both things. That's crazy. Thank you. I thought I was going nuts for a second. Thank you. Here's Law Junkie 33, who actually is an early intervention specialist, says, all EI information is by reports. She is not a psychologist. Never would we be allowed to make that assumption. Never. Kathy, Romeo is an American Sign Language educator, LOL. Really? All right, I'm going to have to bring receipts on this. And this is according to the Oxford Language Dictionary. So it can just settle the discourse in the chat. Biweekly means every 2 weeks or twice a week. Every 2 weeks or twice a week. Every 2 weeks or twice a week. It can mean both things. Who knew? Who knew? According to the Oxford Dictionary. There you go. We learned something today. See, this is not just legal analysis and snark. It is also, we learned things. We have motivational quotes and empowerment cards. There's lots of things that happen here. Back to Ms. Romeo, who apparently said in her notes that dad continues to be Caden's favorite person, that father and child have a healthy attachment, and that socially the child continues to be doing great with an exclamation point. Independent thinker thinks this has his mom's fingerprints all over it. Law junkie, who is an early intervention specialist, says, I guarantee she's a friend of Justin's parents. They can request her to be an EI developmental specialist. Education is required. The education required is a bachelor's degree in anything and 1 year experience with children. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Ms. Romeo has also noted that dad is doing a great job despite all the stresses of single parenting and the stress of the legal side of things, and that she is, quote, impressed by father in how he's handling the situation. He is a great and attentive dad who is always looking to do what is best for the child. Ms. Romeo further notes that the child is very well cared for and has a great support system. Wow, just wow. Just wow. Just wow. Ms. Romeo is going to have a lot to answer for on the stand because this may be well outside the scope of what is proper for her to be opining on. Isn't she supposed to be a specialist, a development specialist for the child? I don't think she's supposed to be opining about the father and what a great job he's doing. Well, Junkie's back again and says, I work with an early intervention development specialist that has a bachelor's in art. She's not a psychologist. That is all based on parent report that cannot be measured or observed by anyone but a psychologist or a social worker. Thank you, because we're being gaslit. We're being gaslit again. Again, in another case in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, as we so often are. Wow, just wow. Oh, please. Aunt Bibi says, who knows what kind of BS they told these doctors, nurses, etc. Because in my opinion, they were preparing in case Kelsey was not guilty. They had to start their plan of keeping Caden away from Kelsey. Misbehaving in Florida says, this is also crazy. I was a volunteer guardian ad litem for 7 years. Good. Feel free to chime in with your thoughts on this. Law junkie coming in to help the defendant here. 100% Melanie. What are the child's battle assessment scores? She's a joke, in my opinion. To give this information is so wrong. What about his developmental milestones? She's supposed to be assessing those. Back to the papers. According to a recent early intervention development update dated March 31st, 2026. So they had to run back there to get some more positive notes for Justin in order to go into court because they knew the court date. Ms. Romeo notes that the child is a very healthy, happy 12-month-old little boy who is growing and thriving in his current environment. See letter from Kathy Romeo of Minuteman ARC Early Intervention dated March 31, 2026. Attached here to is Exhibit A. Ms. Romeo notes that father, quote, has been present and fully engaged at every visit, that the child has, quote, made excellent developmental progress and is currently meeting all age-appropriate milestones, and that the child is securely attached to father. I want to know who else was present at these visits. Who else was present at these visits? Melissa Badhorse says, Kathy Romeo is a CNA, not even an RN, and she works as a tutor for the deaf. Lady Wag says, devil's advocate, there are no receipts. The aliens could be lying, per usual. Well, it says there's an Exhibit A attached here. I don't know if I have it with these papers, but let's see. These are long. I told you this was going to be long, so buckle in. The exhibit is not attached, and I understand why. It's could be technically a medical record. Okay, moving on. Ms. Romeo specifically notes that the child is cautious around new people and unfamiliar situations, preferring to be held only by father when he feels unsure. According to Ms. Romeo, the child has showed all the signs that he felt safe, supported, and well connected to his caregiver, and that it is clear that his progress is a direct result of the consistent love, attentive care, and nurturing interactions he receives daily. Well, she certainly sounds biased, doesn't she? During Ms. Romeo's time working with the father and child, she has made recommendations relative to the father, consulting with additional specialists. At Ms. Romeo's recommendation, the father began consulting with Catherine Manfield, a licensed social worker at Minuteman Arc for Human Services. I know you guys fall into rabbit holes. I mean, see if you can find any connection between the Aylaian parents and this Minuteman Arc for Human Services. I know you go out there and you do all the armchair detectiving, and you'll find if it exists, you will find it on a regular basis relative to parenting and support. Father also began consulting with a nutritionist at Minuteman Arc for Human Services, Kevin Castro, to learn more about how to help support the child in learning how to self-feed, which he's been struggling with. Zoe's on it. Zoe is always on it. It's been a long time since I had a 1-year-old. But don't 1-year-olds typically know how to self-feed? Picking up Cheerios and Poofs and holding a bottle. It's been a long time. It's been a long time since I had a 1-year-old. Any parents of 1-year-olds in the chat? Are your children self-feeding? Can they hold a bottle? Can they drink from a sippy cup? Can they eat the Cheerios? At 6 months, Lori says. At 6 months old. Thank you, Noni has a 1-year-old granddaughter. Yes, unless grandma smothers, says Living Story Worlds. Usually at 6 months, they can start feeding themselves. Isn't self-feeding a developmental milestone? People are asking. Sue says that Minuteman is for disabled children. It's okay. Is he meeting developmental milestones or he's not? He's been struggling with, who's been struggling? Justin has been struggling with teaching the child how to self-feed, or Caden has been struggling with? On or about September 3rd, 2025, the child underwent a necessary hernia surgery that mother previously informed father she unilaterally canceled without the father's consent. I think that we've seen some receipts on that, some text messages about that surgery. I don't recall exactly whether it was recordings or you can refresh my recollection. I will allow it. The surgery was successful and the child recovered quickly. Kelsey was in jail during that time. She could not attend her child's surgery. Right. Mother was in the hospital and wasn't able to take her own baby to that surgery. Correct. But wasn't there some discussion about the surgery maybe on June 30th in the text messages, I think? It was scheduled and then she was in the hospital. Right. Okay. Hold please. She unilaterally canceled it because you put her in the hospital by getting a restraining order that you knew could endanger her, and you said could endanger also the child and the police officers on the scene, but she unilaterally canceled it. Okay, cool. Hold please. I think if anything, that does not play well in his favor if his 13-month-old or 1-year-old child is having problems self-feeding. Maybe he needs his mommy. I don't know. I'm just saying. Surgery was successful and the child recovered quickly. Father is committed to ensuring that the child is safe, healthy, loved, and well cared for, with which, according to father's support system and the above mentioned professionals, he is successfully accomplishing. Right. Nico 7723 is an occupational therapist and says, how can he be healthy and meeting all milestones yet require all these specialists? Exactly. Thank you, Tiff. Coming in with all the tea. He needed to fast. The baby needed to fast. Right. And I think she needed Justin's help with the baby fasting. And it was mentioned in a text between them the day Kelsey was shot. Right. Yep. Correct. B, the father has serious concerns about the mother's ability to properly care for the child. Father's primary concern is the child's safety. While the father acknowledges that the Essex Superior Court, Judge Karp, found the mother not guilty of assault by means of a dangerous weapon, the disposition of mother's criminal matter has no bearing on the present custody matter. Right. She needed help with the baby fasting for the surgery, and he declined to help. Thank you. Thank you, Cheryl Watson. At her criminal trial, and only a few days ago, mother testified under oath that she held a gun to her head and pulled the trigger with the intention to take her life, all while she believed that the child was just downstairs. Footnote 2. At the time that mother pulled the trigger, the child was just outside the residence with the father's sister, Courtney Aylaian. That is underlined for emphasis. Mother has a long history of mental health issues, and it is entirely unclear to the father and the court what her mental health status is and what treatment, if any, mother is currently receiving or has received since June 30th of 2025. Footnote 3. Nicole N says, early intervention is a free service. We have first steps here. Most of the time, it's because of some sort of influence, low income trauma, being away from mom. There you go. There you go. Being away from mom. Maybe that's the reason for it. Footnote 3. On or about December 9th, 2025, the father served mother with a first set of interrogatories propounded by the plaintiff to be answered under oath by the defendant. In interrogatory number 6, father specifically inquired into any health and or mental diagnosis conditions that mother is currently suffering from, the healthcare professionals she's currently consulting and or treating with for these conditions. Remember, Kelsey was still in jail on December 9th, and whether she's currently prescribed medication in connection with any of these diagnoses and the type of, and dosage of any such medication. Mother failed to answer interrogatory number 6, instead stating that she will provide an answer to this interrogatory once her criminal trial concluded. Mother has yet to provide any such answer. Mother has also indicated in her answer to interrogatory number 10 that she is and or have been in therapy with Dr. Paul Zeisel, Dr. Mizell at MGH, and Dr. Nisevich. Father has not been provided with any other information relative to mother's counseling, mental health, or alcohol and drug treatment. Further, mother's answer is unclear as to whether mother is even engaged in any treatment. Well, is there any evidence of a drug problem here? I mean, they're claiming that she had an arrest for underage drinking when she was like 18 or something, and that purports to show that she's got an alcohol problem. But she was pregnant most of the time they were together. And I would imagine not drinking during her pregnancy. And maybe she got drunk at her bachelorette party. And that's what are we doing here? Mother has candidly and publicly acknowledged her mental health struggles and has made no indication that she believes that father does not have the child's best interest at heart. Mother has also acknowledged the impact that her postpartum struggles has had on both parties. Footnote 4. Which reads, mother's mental health issues span before, during, and after her pregnancy. However, upon information and belief, mother was diagnosed with antepartum psychosis. I know you're furiously Googling right now. In a letter that mother wrote to father shortly before June 30th, 2025, mother wrote in pertinent part as follows. Oh, is this the letter that you stole? Oh, no. I think the letter that he stole off the fridge was one that he wrote to her. Footnote 5 says, father has only just recently received a copy of this letter after the conclusion of mother's criminal trial. So, where was the letter? If it was never sent to you, I'm confused. Here's a letter that allegedly Kelsey wrote in pertinent part as follows, quote, I am truly and deeply sorry about how pregnancy and postpartum has affected you. You met Kelsey Erin Fitzsimmons, the strongest, free-willed, happiest, carefree girl. I'm assuming that's the girl you fell in love with. She's also the girl I've been grieving and searching for since losing her. I mean, the first sentence sounds kind of sarcastic, right? I'm truly sorry and deeply sorry about how pregnancy and postpartum has affected you. As if she's not going through something on her own. I don't really know. That's just my own reading of this. The letter allegedly goes on to say, being a parent is one of the most overwhelming experiences of my life. While I have been navigating the emotional whirl and physical challenges of postpartum, I have undoubtedly changed / shaped me as a person. I have been struggling that, which you have been too, with the fact that my livelihood was taken away and was almost taken away indefinitely. My mood changes, anger, lack of connection were never about you, Justin. I do see how my struggles have caused you pain, confusion, and distance between us. And for that, I am deeply sorry for how I have treated you, taken my anger out on you, and used you as my personal punching bag. That could have been metaphoric and not actual, but it was never deserved or right. I have wanted to spill my pain into your life, but I know I have, and I know that is wrong. Thank you for being there when I could not mentally show up. You are the most patient, amazing man I have ever met. When I say that, I mean it, Justin. I have felt the weight of the whole world leave my shoulders. With the direction my life is going, I feel really happy, optimistic. I see a future, and I feel like I have a purpose again. It was extremely scary for me to lack those feelings, and I selfishly took it out on you because I was jealous. I know you are my biggest supporter, my right man, my rock. I thank you immensely for your patience, even when I was distant and took it for granted. I hope you continue this path with me as I recover, because there is nothing more I want than more of those things. You are my soulmate in this lifetime and the very best daddy to Cade. And that is apparently attached as Exhibit B. We do not have exhibits here. I guess Jess says, this makes me so sad. As someone with mental health struggles, adjusting to being a new parent was hard. It doesn't mean she doesn't deserve to have her son. F1 Scooby says, I think the letter helps her. Al Dente says, premeditated much. This is all done to achieve the final goal of removing her parental rights. Oh, and Zoe wants to know, did he use her laptop to write this letter to himself? It says it's undated, but it purports to have been written shortly before June 30th, 2025. Remember also that when Justin, because right when I first started covering this case, which was less than 2 weeks after the shooting, I fell into the rabbit hole, as I do, and I found an article about the North Andover Fire Department baby boom. And it talked all about how I think there was something like 9 babies born to members of North Andover Fire Department within a very short period of time. And many of them had little babies. And this was taken, this interview that Justin gave to this paper. I don't remember which one it was. In this interview, he talked about how wonderful it was to be a dad and how he couldn't wait to have another baby right away. And how there were group text messages between all the new parents about all the things that he was going through. And I hope somebody got a hold of those group messages. Back to the papers. Mother, unfortunately, has a long history of threatening to harm herself and others and has inflicted physical harm on father and several other identified individuals over the last couple of years, both before, during, and her pregnancy with Caden. Before, during, and after her pregnancy with Caden. Below is a summary of several examples of mother's seriously concerning behavior that she exhibited before, during, and after pregnancy that demonstrate that she is not currently capable of properly caring for a 13-month-old child without professional supervision. So I think most of this we've heard about before, but I won't know until I read it to you. So let's go. Number 1, violent and concerning behavior exhibited by mother prior to mother's pregnancy. Mother has suffered from mental health issues long before she became pregnant with the child and has a lengthy history of lashing out and physically assaulting others. A few examples are as follows. In and or around 2018. Really? We're going to go back to 2018? 7 years before Caden was born? This is how deep in the archives we need to go? Okay. In and around 2018, the mother was arrested and charged with intoxication and disruptive behavior, which she pled guilty to. Mother was also charged with malicious conduct by a prisoner in connection with this arrest, which was a result of mother spitting at a police officer while in custody. This charge was dropped. It probably was also supposed to have been sealed, but they got it. In or around 2019, the mother was charged with simple assault against a male victim of which she had a personal relationship with, which she pleaded guilty to. The mother was charged with simple assault against a male victim of which she had a personal relationship with. I can't even get into all the ways that sentence bothers me. Part of mother's condition of release was that she was to abstain from alcohol. That was in 2019. According to mother's answer to interrogatory number 8, which asks in part if mother has ever pled guilty to or no contest to and or been convicted of a felony misdemeanor, mother, quote, pled to a lesser charge of simple assault and was given supervised probation for 12 months and 100 hours of community service. Mother answered that, quote, for all other inquiries contained in interrogatory number 8, I have a criminal trial scheduled for March 23rd, 2026, and upon advice of legal counsel, I am invoking my Fifth Amendment right against self-incrimination. I will provide my answer to this interrogatory once that trial concludes. Mother has yet to supplement her answer. Upon information and belief, mother attempted to take her own life in high school. Really? Upon information and belief, you need to come with receipts if you're gonna allege that, sir. Sir. I have to cross that word out because YouTube doesn't like it. Upon information and belief, the mother physically assaulted 2 of her former boyfriends. Oh, and then he names him. Mr. Evan Ferrier, who worked for the Massachusetts State Police at the time, and Mr. John Minotti. Okay, when? Upon information and belief in February 2023, the mother punched her friend and bridesmaid, Michelle. That's what it says. It says that. It says Michelle. Tell me if you know what that's from. Except it was Rochelle in the face. No wonder Michelle Mitchell was so Kelly Deverish on the stand. It's from Seinfeld. It's the Bette Midler episode. Rochelle. But they call her Michelle in the face. Michelle Mitchell. It says, see excerpt from transcript of deposition of Michelle Mitchell taken March 12th, 2026 at page 154 to 155. Attached here too is Exhibit C. Michelle Mitchell gave a deposition? Was it an ex parte deposition? March 12th. What was the date of Kelsey's acquittal? March 26th? Was March 12th the date? No, because the trial was only like 3 or 4 days. That wasn't the date of her testimony. Michelle testified under oath that when her and the mother were in a car, the mother started yelling at her and punched her in the face out of the blue. Okay, when? Oh, February of 2023. Okay. February of 2023, 2 years before Caden was born. Right? Shannon says, this is not about what's best for Caden. It's about making Kelsey look bad, but I hope people see it is showing just how cruel and controlling Justin really is. Right. Punched her in the face out of the blue. 2 years before Caden was born. Okay. Number 2, mother's violent and dangerous behavior exhibited during mother's pregnancy that caused the father serious concerns relative to the well-being of the parties and their unborn child. A, September 2024. On or about September 5th, 2024, the parties attended a welcome party of father's childhood friend in York, Maine. I love York Beach. I remember going there as a kid. I went to summer camp in New Hampshire, and we used to go to York Beach for the seasoners trip. And the water in York Beach is so cold. And I remember the saltwater taffy in York Beach. Memories. During the event, mother stood directly beside father while father spoke briefly with a female neighbor that father had grown up with. It was a friendly, harmless conversation. After the event, mother drove the parties home. During the drive home, mother, who was pregnant at the time, became enraged. Okay, well, I'm going to point some out. She probably had to drive home because he may or may not have been hammered and or stoned. And she was pregnant, so she wasn't drinking, so she was the designated driver. From Minsk to Milan. Thank you, Michelle. You get me. You understand me. During the drive home, mother, who was pregnant at the time, became enraged, accusing father of excluding her from the conversation and of allowing the female neighbor to place a hand on father's arm during the conversation. Anybody remember the early pregnancy hormones? Anybody remember them? I do. Mother grew increasingly agitated and began screaming and swearing at father. As her anger escalated, mother started accelerating at extremely dangerous speeds, reaching upwards of 110 miles per hour. Despite father's attempts to calm mother down and assure her that the conversation was harmless, she continued yelling that the father was an a-hole and that the father, quote, better find a new place to live. I wonder if he's the only witness to this. Oh, yeah, I guess he is because he's the only one in the car. Throughout the entire ride home, mother paid very little attention to the road or surrounding vehicles. Mother's speed, combined with her emotional volatility, created an extremely dangerous situation. At several points, mother became dangerously close to losing control of the vehicle and crashing, putting not only father's life at risk, but also her own and the life of the party's unborn baby. That night, father feared that mother was going to hurt all 3 of them by driving so recklessly. I'd like to know what condition he was in that night. What condition he was in? Do we need to bring this female friend in and both friends in to talk about maybe how much he was drinking or smoking and whether or not his memory was affected? I don't know. Was she pulled over? It doesn't seem so. October of 2024. Oh, here's the Croatia trip. So I don't believe we've heard about that driving incident from York, Maine before, but we did hear about this in some other papers that we read. In October of 2024, while mother was pregnant with the child, the parties went on a several-week vacation with the father's family to Croatia, where they stayed in several towns and cities. During their stay in Split, Croatia, the parties and the father's family all stayed at the same Airbnb property, which included 3 separate rooms or units that were all attached by an outdoor walkway. The parties shared one of these 3 rooms or units. On or about October 5th of 2024, mother was repeatedly expressing frustration and anxiety about being 3 months pregnant. Okay. She felt that because she was pregnant, she was being excluded because she could not drink alcohol or participate in some of the group activities and evening outings. Well, I guess he's telling us that all of his family activities revolve around alcohol. Thanks for that. All of the activities revolve around alcohol with this family, maybe, apparently. After dinner that evening, the parties and father's parents walked back from the downtown area to the Airbnb, which is approximately a 5-minute walk. Upon arriving at the Airbnb, they all went to their respective rooms. At this time, mother mentioned that she was tired and wanted to go to bed. Father told her that was fine and to get some sleep and that he was going to spend some time with his siblings. Either that or he wanted to continue partying. I'm just, imagining what it was like. Thank you, Emily C. Emily C is here. He's definitely a guy who says, Kelsey, relax. Or Kelsey, calm down. Why don't you calm down? You need to calm down. And doesn't understand why that doesn't work to calm things down. No woman ever in the history of the world ever has calmed down when told to calm down. Mother told father that she did not want him to go and voiced concerns that his siblings and father were going to talk about her. She was probably right. Father told her that they would never talk about her and that his siblings loved her. Father reiterated that this trip was a rare, generous gift from his parents and that they should try to enjoy it together rather than engage in conflict. Jimmy D says, sounds like a toxic family environment. KBD says, I'm sure, in my opinion, his family wasn't warm and welcoming to Kelsey ever. And Scorpio says, nothing helps enrage me faster than telling me to calm down. Oh, thank you, Valerie. You noticed? She says, Melanie is an expert at reading between the lines. It's not just what they say, it's what they don't say, right? At this point, mother became increasingly upset. Her voice began to rise and she started swearing at father, calling him an a-hole, accusing him of abandoning her and claiming that he didn't care about her. She then stated that she wished she had never gotten pregnant. Father responded by reminding her that their unborn child was a blessing and already deeply loved. Oh, if he brings tiny Jesus into it, I might lose it. Where's tiny Jesus? Tiny Jesus. Oh, here's tiny Jesus. I want to remind you also that during Justin's testimony, he told us that one summer after he graduated from college, he became a counselor at a teen torture camp in Utah. Oh, I'm sorry. They don't call them teen torture camps. They call them wilderness camps for troubled teens. Emily says, but he is an a-hole. The truth is a complete defense, isn't it? Mother continued to yell and swear at father. At this point, father's siblings had returned to their room and he could hear them laughing amongst each other. Father told mother that he was going to check in with his siblings. At this time, mother became irate and emotionally unstable. Mother stood on her side of the bed, her face red with anger, and dragged her fingers from her forehead down to her neck in what appeared to be a distressed and panicked state. Oh, I mean, who wrote this? Mother then began punching herself in the face with both closed fists. Father was horrified and begged her to stop. She then began hitting herself repeatedly in the stomach. Fearing for the safety of their unborn child, father immediately moved toward her, grabbed her hands, and begged her to stop. Mother struggled and tried to pull away as father pleaded with her to think of the baby's well-being. Oh, again, one side of the story. Maybe he grabbed her. Who knows? We don't know. We weren't there. To prevent her from further hurting herself or the baby, father wrapped her in a bear hug in an effort to calm her down. Father repeatedly assured her that he loved her and that he was concerned for her and the baby. Father was desperately trying to de-escalate the situation. Sounds like a soap opera, doesn't it? It does. Exhibit A, Exhibit Allie says he probably was holding her arms and making her punch herself. Oh, please. Living Story World is pointing out that all this tells me is Justin never really loved her, because if he knew she had abandonment issues and then caused the storm intentionally, in my opinion, he's the aggressor. Sounds like he restrained her. Yes, Miss Scarlett. After several minutes, Mother eventually calmed down and promised not to hurt herself or the baby again. Father asked her why she had acted that way and expressed how serious and dangerous her actions were. Father continued to try and comfort and console Mother. After some time had passed, Mother finally agreed to lie down and rest. Father remained in bed next to her, deeply disturbed and unable to fully process what had just happened. At the same time that he was telling, here, I'm just breaking to say, at the same time he was telling her that her feelings were not valid, he's now trying to convince us that his feelings were valid. Physically restraining and bear hugging a 3-month pregnant woman. I want to say that's the bigger issue here, says Le Maybe. Al Dente says he was escalating the situation. Geraldine wants to know, did it start once upon a time? Back to the papers. On the final day of their trip to Croatia, the parties and Father's family all stopped for breakfast before heading to the airport. Mother remained silent and disengaged throughout the meal and did not speak to anyone, including Father. After breakfast, when the parties were alone, Father asked Mother why she was being distant and quiet. Mother responded that she hated Father, that he was a horrible person, and for the second time that trip, stated that she did not want to be pregnant. I mean, the way that he is embellishing this story, which is nothing more than an argument between two people, one of whom maybe wanted to drink and party the whole entire trip, and the other of whom is pregnant with raging hormones and has to be around his family, who clearly, probably, in my opinion, doesn't like her at all. Maybe with his baby, she meant, says Betsy. Allie says, we are all truly the smartest, snarkiest, most supportive, loud, and best chat in the land. Coco says, keep your free trip. It sounds like hell to me. Meza is here. He says, good afternoon. That Justin dude sounds like a Looney Tune. She fell trapped with this a-hole, says Jomar. I mean, we're reading between the lines here. And this is his side of the story, remember. Newly pregnant. She's still in her first trimester. The hormones during your first trimester are insane. During this conversation, the parties were walking along the water behind Father's sister and brother. Mother suddenly and forcefully slapped Father on his back. Father was in shock and pain. Father's sister turned around, having heard the loud slap. Father downplayed the interaction and assured his sister everything was fine. The parties continued to walk along the water and back towards the pier. Father again tried to calm Mother down and tried to get a better idea of what was upsetting her. At this time, Mother's behavior became increasingly erratic. She began pacing back and forth between the waterfront and the nearby parking lot. She told Father, and this is underlined, she told Father that she did not want to live anymore and threatened to kill herself. Mother told Father that he would have no place to live when they returned to the United States and that he should start packing my bags. He should start packing my bags. Probably should say he should start packing his bags. At one point, while walking along the waterfront, just inches from an approximate 8-foot drop, Mother threatened to walk off the ledge and drown herself. Mother repeatedly stated that she wanted to take her life and the baby's life. I mean, this is the second example that he's got, and this one seems to be incredibly detailed. Can't wait to hear the other side of this story. Tracy says this is full of self-serving nonsense. Mother was visibly distraught, gasping for air and dry heaving. Father did everything he could to try to calm her down and de-escalate the situation. He begged her to think about their unborn child. After several minutes, Mother eventually returned to the car and waited there until it was time to leave for the airport. Extra cheese, crispy Pep says, when is the father getting his own place? I don't know. I think he still lives with his parents. And I've said this before, and I'm going to say it again, and I'm going to stand by it. Because they were living in Kelsey's house that she owned on her own. Nobody falls in back to one. Nobody falls in love faster than a narcissist who needs a place to live. Teach your children well. How many times did she try and kick him out? And he just wouldn't go because he really, really, really needed a place to live. Or he really loved her. Which one do you think it is? Because now he's acting like he's trying to tell the whole world that she was batshit crazy and that he did her some sort of favor by sticking around. She tried to get rid of him, but he wouldn't go. Going all the way back to 3 months into the pregnancy. And yet, when he was interviewed for that newspaper about the North Andover Fire Department baby boom, he wanted to have another kid right away. Make it make sense. Get the reporter's notes. Defense team, get the reporter's notes from the interview with Justin. We know you can get those in Massachusetts because, Gretchen Voss and all the others in the Cannery case. I'd go sit in the car and not want to be around his family either. If that's the way that I was being treated. How about you? Once the parties arrived at the airport and went through security, mother continued to threaten to take her life. Fearing for her safety and that of their unborn child, father told mother that he was going to get food, but in reality stepped away to call mother's mother and tell her about mother's threats and concerning behavior. Father also informed mother's mother that she had hit herself in the stomach during the trip. Father could hear the panic in mother's voice. Mother's mother repeatedly told father to just get her home. Well, I guess Kelsey's mother will be called to the stand about this. If there's an evidentiary hearing. When father returned to the group after speaking with mother's mother, father's sister, Courtney, noticed how visibly distraught father was. Given that Courtney previously worked as a registered nurse. Oh, that makes sense. Courtney's a registered nurse previously. Not anymore? Did she lose her registration? What happened? Father confided in her and told her of his efforts to get mother professional help. Wait, when did he try and get her professional help? And you're confiding in your sister only because she used to be a registered nurse? Not because she's your sister? I don't know. I have questions. Okay. Father also told her that he had witnessed mother punch herself in the stomach during the trip. Okay, so the trip is now over. They're at the airport. Why didn't he say anything to anybody before this? So it's all Ipsy Dixit because I said so up until the time that he talks to Courtney when they're already at the airport, who was formerly a registered nurse. When mother found out that father spoke with her mother, her anger only escalated. Once they were on the phone, she told father that she was going to destroy his life and ruin him. She then stated that when she got home, she was going to take her life and leave a note saying it was the father's fault. Father, and that's all underlined as well. Father expressed his concern to her and reminded her that he loved her and did not want anything to happen to her. In response, mother pinched father's leg as hard as she could until he had to pull away. Remember, she's 5'3", 110 pounds. I forget how tall he is, but he's wicked tall. Also, I mean, Justin, if everything that you say is true, if everything that you're saying is true and you were so afraid of her, the warning signs were there. Why didn't you break up then? If what you say is true. During the flights home, mother continued to raise her voice and swear at father. Father continued to remain calm and tried to calm her down. How many drinks did he have on the plane? Mommy, she pinched me. Mommy, she pinched me, said Carol. Mommy. Mommy, make him stop looking out my window. Mommy, make her stop breathing my air. Mommy, mommy, mommy. Yeah. Somebody said because he's too lazy to move his stuff back to his mother's. Jemmy says that. Well, he needed like 5 of his buddies to come and help him move all of his stuff. Remember what he told Katie? That he was going to need to bring 5 friends and it was going to take them a couple of hours to get all his stuff out of her house? Thank you, Elaine, for your very generous $100 on Venmo. She says, I'm here, but I'm late. You're the very best. No, you are, Elaine. You are the very best. All of you. Each and every one of you who chooses to spend so many of your days with me and so many hours with me. You are all the very best. U.S. Marine Corps cowgirl Semper Fi says, just in it for the money, a lion. Hell hath no fury like a woman scorned, but when she's scorned and has to fight for her baby, you awaken something even the devil would fear. Thank you, Mel, for all you do. I love you with all of my heart. Yacht today, Satan. Semper Fi, cowgirl. Thanks for being here for 21 months. Gigi says, my first grandson, Tristan, was in the NICU. I would take my lunch and go to read to him. Then I finally got to hold him and to read to him. Oh, I love that so much for you. It's devastating, isn't it? Thanks for your 5. Ellen says it's Justin who's developmentally challenged. Maybe it's for him and not the baby. Thanks for tuning in from Denmark, Ellen, and for Super Chat. A desire for civil discourse says, language like this makes me go Shakespearean. Thou dost protest too much. Agree. Tushka from across the pond says, context matters. Weekly visits reduced to bi-weekly and further to monthly means every other week in this specific instance. Thank you so very much. Thank you so very much for backing me on this one. Ellen says, if criminal charges doesn't have any bearing, why are they in the opening of these papers, Justin? Oh, because acquittal. I see. Thanks for your super chat again, Ellen. And Lindsay says, that sounds like a letter you write in a mental health program that is never meant to be sent to anyone. It's usually part of the healing or getting better process. Great point, Lindsay. Thanks for your 10. Kelly Whiteside says, when he stole her laptop and did money transfers, was it to or from her sole account or joint? I work at a bank and it is a felony to do such things. Since that money is FDIC insured, the feds might get involved. Well, Bradel did say that he was reporting these things to the feds. They also provided what purported to be a check from the grandparents for $5,000 for the baby's fund or college fund or something that was written before the baby was even born. And then a deposit at some point. It was kind of bogus proof, if you ask me. So I don't really know where the transfer was from, but he tried to prove that it was really money for him from his grandparents. Thanks for your 10. Kelly Whiteside. Nay said it's going to be a long 18 years of crap for baby C. Weird Debbie says, hearing this is making my blood pressure rise. Well, thanks for being here for 11 months. Go take a pill, a blood pressure pill, and come right back. We have to take breaks. Andrea with an I says, imagine the hardest mental, physical time of your life. Hormones literally raging, fear, constant worrying, sometimes additional health problems due to pregnancy. And then imagine your support system being a man child partier. Yep. I think that's what we're seeing here. I think that's exactly what we're seeing here. She's driving him around. He wants to go party with his family. Then at the bachelor party, he wanted to party with his friends. Party, party, party. It's all about the party. Thanks, Andrew, for your 20. 50 Kitty Cat says, couldn't he have done a 72-hour hold during if true? I don't know the requirements for that. And I don't know, but there was some, and I don't even know if it's ever been proven that she may have been on a section at one point. They call it a section 12 in Massachusetts, but then was not admitted. So I don't really know. But that's a good point. Oh, please. Couple new members, I guess. Jess, Joey, I'm sorry, Joy, and Jess, welcome Tazo says, I find it hard to believe Elle picked him up. Thanks for being here for 19 months. All right, back to the papers. A lot of swearing. She's doing a lot of swearing, he says. During the flights home, mother continued to raise her voice and swear at father. Father continued to remain calm, tried to calm her down. When the parties returned home to 125 Phillips Brook Road, father tried to have a conversation with mother about how concerned he was about her mental health and well-being. Again, mother became erratic and enraged. She began destroying property throughout the home, including but not limited to breaking pictures, breaking glass items, knocking objects off the kitchen counters. Her behavior became increasingly aggressive. She kicked doors, punched walls, and continued to yell. While mother continued to trash their home, it was really her home, father stood by the side of the couch in a state of shock, unable to fully process what he was watching. Ellen says, I would think the airline crew would have went over and asked her to lower her voice. Steve-O says, can anybody say character assassination? Well, we're going to read it. There's a new affidavit from Kelsey that we're going to read after this. So I haven't read it yet, but we'll see. Pictures or it didn't happen. This is Carrie. This is during the pregnancy, actually. The baby wasn't 4 months old. This is still during the pregnancy, this story. Mother then approached father. This is now in bold font. The whole paragraph. Mother then approached father and tried to punch and slap him several times. Father backed away, raised his hands, trying to avoid getting hurt, and repeatedly told her to stop. She struck father in the face several times and kicked him in the genitals. Father fell back onto the couch in pain. At no point did father retaliate or respond with any physical aggression or raise his voice. After slapping, punching, and kicking father, mother continued to scream and yell and went back to the kitchen. The embellishment here. I mean, the detail, minute by minute. Once father was able to get off the couch, he walked into the kitchen and begged her to calm down. At this point, father noticed that she had retrieved a large kitchen knife, approximately 8 inches in length. Mother began pacing around their home, holding the knife to her stomach. Mother was approximately 3 to 4 months pregnant at this time. She repeatedly threatened to harm herself and their unborn child. Again, father tried to calm her down and make her feel safe. Father begged her to stop. When father took his phone out and said that he needed to call 911 so that he could get her help, she threatened to immediately take her life if he did so. At one point, she held the knife directly to the side of her head. Do you believe any of this? I mean, I'd like to hear what Kelsey has to say about this. I mean, give me a break, Sassy says. He uses every past supposed doing as a weapon conveniently while trying to alienate her from mothering their child. Oh yeah, he's such an angel like we heard on the audio. Yet he left the baby with her unattended, right? And this is during the pregnancy. Mo said, are these testimonials of why the father went outside to smoke? Are there dates? Oh, good point. Lauren doesn't believe it. She says, absolutely not. Common sense investigator is here. Devin said, Justin thought of all these false stories overnight for his lawyers, just like he did in his TRO 209A. This situation lasted for what felt like an eternity. Mother's eyes were wide and she stared at father while holding the knife. Father was terrified she was going to follow through on her threats. She would not drop the knife. Eventually, after persistent pleading, father was able to convince mother to drop the knife. Father walked over to her, held her, and reassured her that she was safe and everything was going to be okay. Father held her for a long time, still shaken by what had just occurred and fearful for what might happen next. In the days that followed, mother begged father not to leave her. Father was still incredibly scared by what he had witnessed a few days prior and was concerned about not only his own safety, but the safety of mother and their unborn child. Father genuinely believed that if he left her, she was going to follow through on her prior threats to harm herself and the baby. Mother told father repeatedly that he could not tell anyone about what happened because she was scared that she was going to lose her job. She also told him that she would have nothing left if she lost her job as a police officer, which was extremely concerning. Okay, that goes back to October of 2024. And so this is wrong because it says shortly after returning from Croatia on October 15th of 2025. It's not. It's 2024. She was pregnant. The baby was born in February 2025. Why can't they get their dates right? Um, do you really believe that he wouldn't tell anybody just because she said not to? Um, he told everybody at North Andover Police Department that he was getting a restraining order against her. Maybe he's the one seeing everything taken away from him. She's kicking him out of his house. She would wind up with custody after their fight at the bachelorette party, likely as the mom. And so he went and got the restraining order, maybe. Just too many details, right? So many details. What would you do if this really happened and you were in this situation? What would you do as the partner of this person? Would you have grave concerns? Would you do something about it? Or would you do nothing and tell no one? Shortly after returning from Croatia on October 15th, this should say 2024, but it says 2025, the mother sent the following text messages to father. Okay, so apparently he's got receipts on this part, but none of the other embellishment that we read has a receipt. And notice that when Kelsey makes allegations against Justin, she comes with video and audio recordings. None of this can be corroborated, apparently. Kelsey comes with video of I don't know how many times Justin smoking outside in the backyard and leaning out the window with what looks like maybe a bong. And video of him busting the door down at her house and breaking and entering, and video of him in the basement running away before and during the shooting. So here's the text messages that she sent. I have no plans of continuing this miserable effing life. I'm sitting at this effing desk, ready to bash it and just effing die. Father begged mother to go to the crisis center in Lawrence, Massachusetts to seek mental health treatment. Father personally accompanied her to several appointments there. Father made sure that mother scheduled and attended every OBGYN appointment during this time as well. Father took every step that he could to get her into therapy and psychiatric treatment and to ensure her safety and the safety of their unborn child. Father encouraged her to attend an inpatient mental health facility that lasted approximately 1 to 2 weeks, but she consistently refused and told father that he was the problem and that there was nothing wrong with her. Eventually, mother did attend one online group therapy session. However, she then withdrew from therapy and refused to attend any additional therapy sessions despite father's repeated requests. November 2024. Similarly, in and around November of 2024, father attended an OBGYN appointment with mother in Boston, Mass. Mother was driving her Range Rover and they were traveling south on Route 93. During the drive, the parties began discussing her mental state, and father encouraged her to be honest with her doctors about the taking of one's own lives, the S word, and homicidal thoughts that she had previously expressed to him. Mother immediately became defensive and began swearing at father. Mother told father that if she told the truth, she would lose her job. She then started blaming father for her difficulties during her pregnancy and that she, quote, couldn't handle it. As mother's agitation escalated, so did her driving. She began speeding and became visibly angry behind the wheel. When father asked her to pull over and let him drive, she refused. Instead, she started swerving aggressively between cars. When they were approaching the ZAKIM Zakim Bridge in Boston, Massachusetts, mother accelerated to approximately 110 miles per hour just before the exit. Well, I mean, she's got a Range Rover. But here's the thing. Both times in his examples, she's doing 110. Let me guess, 110 again, right? Just like, what time did you leave? 12:10, 12:10, 12:10. You know what I'm talking about. This is a different, apparently, road rage incident or, reckless driving incident. And by the way, why is she driving all the time? Is it because he's stoned? Oh, please. Just before the exit, 110 miles an hour. At this point, father was terrified. Mother continued to ignore his repeated pleas to slow down and pull over. Father genuinely thought they were going to get into an accident. Again, she's pregnant. Why is she driving? Why doesn't he insist on driving? What is going on here? Does he even have a car? Father continued to beg mother to slow down and told her that he loved her. Well, we know he can't afford gas, right? Or he couldn't the day he stood her up at the park. Father continued to beg mother to slow down, and he told her that he loved her, that he wasn't going anywhere, that he was just trying to support her, and that he wanted what was best for her. After several minutes, she finally reduced her speed and regained some control of the vehicle. Once mother was driving at a normal speed and legal speed, father gently asked her what was going on and told her that she could have killed all of them. She responded several times that she did not want to be pregnant and that she couldn't handle it anymore. Oh my God. He's trying to make it look like, listen, she never wanted this baby anyway. So, give me the baby permanently, forever and ever. Thank you. Amen. December 2024. Another example of the father witnesses mother's concerning behavior during her pregnancy occurred in December of 2024. On or about December 14th and 15th, 2024, father was in Mexico attending his best friend's wedding. At the time, mother was approximately 6 months pregnant. The parties had mutually agreed that it would be better for mother and the baby if mother did not fly to Mexico for the short trip. What do you think? You think he was like, I'm going to Mexico, whether you're coming or not. I'm out of here. I'm not missing my best friend's wedding. While father was in Mexico, mother informed him that she was experiencing abdominal pain. Father urged her to go to the hospital immediately to ensure that both she and the baby were safe. She eventually agreed, and her mother took her to the hospital. Father made it clear that if there were any complications, he would take the next available flight home. Throughout the day, approximately every 20 minutes, father stepped away from the ceremony and wedding events to call and text mother for updates on her and the baby. As the day progressed, mother became increasingly anxious, agitated, and angry. After the hospital evaluated her and found no complications, father remained on the phone with mother during her 40-minute drive home from Boston to North Andover. Is he trying to make it seem like he was such a great guy? Like, how dare she force him to leave this wedding every 20 minutes to check up on her? Such a burden. During this phone call, mother yelled at father, belittled him, and became emotional. After enduring verbal abuse for over 40 minutes, father told mother that he was happy that both she and the baby were okay, but that he needed to end the phone call and that he would talk to her the next day. When the parties spoke the next day, mother again sent father deeply disturbing messages, all of which made him fear not only for her safety, but also for the safety of their unborn son. These messages included the following. And so this is what he must have receipts on. Justin, please answer the phone. I mentally cannot take this. I'm going to a really bad place. Those are both all caps. I'm going to a really effing bad place. I am worthless, and I will prove that to you. I am all done. I hate this life. I can't do it. I couldn't handle the stress that caused to me. I could not handle it. I hurt myself. Just keep in mind the baby feels what I feel. I was up all effing night. When mother picked father up at the airport, father asked her what happened and how she hurt herself. Mother told father that she punched herself. Again, self-serving hearsay. Right. Denise said he wouldn't miss Mexico. Free reign for all things he's interested in. I'd like to see the other side of these text messages. I'm sure the judge would like to as well. Given that father had previously witnessed mother punch herself in the face and punch herself in the stomach while pregnant, father believed mother was telling the truth. Father later found out that mother admitted to her friend and maid of honor, Katrina Caruso, one of the ones that he was powwowing with at the not pool party the day he went to get the order, Katrina, and her maid of honor, that she had punched herself while in Croatia while mother was pregnant. Oh, so Katrina's coming. What's the name of that band that sang Walking on Sunshine? Katrina and the Waves. So I guess Katrina's going to come in and testify against her. Her maid of honor is going to come in and testify against her. Just because she said it doesn't mean it's true, I'll point out, right? Thank you, Charissa, for gifting 5 memberships. You are amazing. And thank you, Massa Shenanigans, gifted another 5 memberships. You guys are so generous and kind to each other and to me. I love you so much. A lot of new members today. If you're new and you're a member and you got the little cupcake next to your name, we have lots of special emojis for members. One of them is particularly appropriate here. It's the Thompson twins. Lies, lies, lies. Yeah, there you go. Enjoy. Andrea says, I do not believe any of this. You know, a slimy jerk like him would have been recording all of it with his phone. You know he would. Thanks for your 10, Andrea. The Helena you know from Sweden says, my son's dad did the same to me. Guess who has sole custody for 17 years and who hasn't been involved in the slightest? Love you, Melanie. Oh, I love you too. I'm sorry that happened to you. Lindsay says, and he's a mandated reporter, yet he didn't report a single instance of abuse or neglect. Isn't that illegal? I'm not up on my mandated reporter laws in Massachusetts, but we can look into that. Thank you, Lindsay. Unless that was rhetorical. Lindsay also says, maybe he's tripping on magic mushrooms far more often than we think. Thanks for your comments. Helena also said, it probably wasn't much fun for Kelsey to travel with the alien family. She was pregnant and they left her to go out drinking together. Thank you so much for your thoughts. Number 3, here's the third incident. M. Des is a new member and so happy to be here. I'm so happy that you're here too. Sherilyn says, I think he made all of this up, including the dates. Nicole says she has mental health issues, but let me tell you, I was afraid to tell my doctor because I thought they'd take away my baby. I would see knives on the counter and intrusive thoughts. Postpartum is brutal. Thank you for chiming in. Courtney said, Mel, I got a membership and I'm here for it. Happy Friday. Happy Friday. Chrissy. Chris says, no judge in their right mind is going to believe all this without proof because there's 2 sides to every story and she's not doing anything without other stuff going on. All right. Moving on to number 3. Hold please for 1 second. I got to blow my nose. Give me a second. It's hard to listen to, isn't it? Okay, example number 3 is mother's violent and dangerous behavior exhibited after child's birth that caused the father serious concerns relative to the well-being of the parties and the child. March of 2025. On or about March 9th of 2025, after a baptism party at mother's cousin's home, the parties and the child returned home to 125 Phillipsburg Road. The child was less than 1 month old at this time. Upon arriving home, father noticed that mother appeared unsettled, anxious, and increasingly agitated. Her behavior soon began to escalate, and she appeared visibly angry and distressed. At this time, father was sitting on the couch feeding the child before putting him to bed. Mother was pacing between the living room and the kitchen. Father had no idea why mother was so upset and was confused by her increasingly aggressive behavior. Without warning, mother entered the living room and became physically violent. She began breaking picture frames. Here it is again. All the same things. Breaking picture frames, throwing objects from the counters, and smashing anything within her reach. Isn't that the same exact thing he said happened a different time? Recognizing that the situation was rapidly deteriorating and unsafe for their son, father decided it was in the child's best interest to remove him from this situation. As mother continued yelling and breaking items, father grabbed the baby's diaper bag and carried the baby upstairs to pack an overnight bag for them. While doing so, father heard mother coming upstairs. Okay, remember, baby's born around February, I think, 16th. This is maybe like the baby's like not even 3 weeks old at this point. She's 3 weeks postpartum. Father was in the bedroom. While doing so, father heard the mother coming upstairs. Father was in the bedroom across the bed when she approached father. Father told mother that he needed to remove the baby from this dangerous environment. Given mother's escalating and concerning behavior, a behavior of which father has unfortunately witnessed before. Okay, my question is this then. If all of this is true, why didn't he have his camera ready? Why didn't he have his camera ready to record all this stuff? Come on. He knows her triggers, says Living Storyworth. Father also retrieved his belongings and legally owned firearm, which was secured in a locked storage box next to the bed, as mother knew the password to the safe and father was concerned for all of their safety. Father placed the firearm in my pants. He didn't put it in my pants, but that's what it said. Father placed the firearm in my pants pocket to ensure that mother could not access it. Father calmly told mother that she was safe and that everything was going to be okay. At this point, father planned on taking the child to a mutual friend's house, who's also a North Andover firefighter and who lived with his wife and his 4 children nearby. While holding the child in one arm, father extended his other arm to maintain distance between mother and himself. However, mother stood in the bedroom doorway and refused to let them leave. Father explained to her that he wanted to give her some space to calm down and remove the baby from the situation. Father explained to mother that it was in the baby's best interest to spend the night in a safe and stable environment and that father would return shortly thereafter. Mother refused to let father leave and demanded to hold Caden. Father assured mother that the baby was safe with him, but she remained insistent and was becoming increasingly agitated. Father recommended that he call her mother and stepfather, who were also at the baptism party and who lived nearby. Father made the call, and shortly thereafter, mother's mother and stepfather arrived at 125 Phillipsbrook Road and came upstairs to assist with the situation. Upon their arrival, father was still holding the baby, and as mother moved towards father became trapped between the bed and the wall. Mother attempted to grab the baby and would not let go. At this time, mother's stepfather intervened and physically restrained mother and urged her to let go of the baby. From where father was standing, father could not tell if mother had a hold of the baby's leg or his pajama pants, but father was unable to pull away. At this time, father's fear for the baby's safety reached an all-time high. An all-time high. This is March. Both mother's mother and stepfather were yelling at mother to stop and let go of our baby. Mother's stepfather repeatedly yelled, "Kelsey, let go." Eventually, mother's stepfather was able to fully restrain mother, and father was able to get downstairs safely with the baby. Shortly thereafter, everyone came downstairs. Mother continued her episode in the kitchen. Oh, it's a whole episode, all right. It escalated to the point that mother's mother was wrestling with mother on the floor, trying to restrain her. Okay, well, if this is all true, I can't wait to hear Kelsey's mother's version of this. At this point, father handed the child to mother's stepfather so that he could help mother's mother. Father did his best to assist and de-escalate the situation, as he was scared that mother was going to harm herself or one of them. Mother's stepfather eventually called 911 and requested both police and an ambulance. When the police officers and EMTs arrived, her mother, and father were on the kitchen floor. Father advised the police officers to remove the kitchen knives from the area, as mother had thrown them and they were on the floor within her reach. Father voluntarily surrendered his firearm to the police officer and informed him of his intention to remove both the weapon and the baby from the house for their safety. Even after there weren't so okay, so did all of the first responders who responded to this, are they coworkers of Justin and coworkers of Kelsey from North Andover PD? Was it North Andover PD and North Andover Fire Department EMTs that responded to this? Even after the police officers and EMT arrived, mother remained erratic and uncooperative. Emergency personnel informed her she could either voluntarily go to the hospital for an evaluation or be involuntarily transported to the hospital pursuant to a Section 12 involuntary psychiatric hold. After a prolonged argument, mother agreed to go to the hospital. The town of North Andover's community support coordinator, Crystal Clooney, also arrived on scene and accompanied the parties to Lawrence General Hospital. Okay, where was Crystal Clooney on the day that the restraining order was served? Where was she then? Anyone? Gen X Jenny says, can we upload this into AI and find out what movie this is based on? Cynthia Lynch says psychological warfare is one tactic by the narcissist. I can't wait to hear from Kelsey. The baby remained with mother's mother and stepfather at this time. So North Andover has a community support coordinator. I'd like to know what her role is. At least Justin went to the hospital with Kelsey that time. Upon the party's arrival at the hospital, mother continued to scream and act out in the hospital room. Hospital security became involved. The nurse, Ms. Clooney, and father attempted to calm mother down while hospital security stood by. Mother threatened to break out of the hospital if she was not released. The nurse warned her that she would be sedated and physically restrained if her behavior continued. At this time, Ms. Clooney and father stepped out of the hospital room and spoke with the attending physician to provide information relative to mother's mental and emotional state. They both expressed that due to mother's erratic and violent behavior, mother should not be discharged and that she was not in any position to care for a baby at that time. The physician agreed and decided to hold mother involuntarily pursuant to Section 12. Mother was required to remain at the hospital for a psychiatric evaluation. After some time had passed, Ms. Clooney was finally able to calm mother down. Father stayed with mother at Lawrence General Hospital overnight until approximately 9 a.m. the next morning. After meeting with a mental health clinician, the mother was discharged. Okay, so I guess it wasn't that bad if she was discharged at 9 a.m. As a result of this situation, the mother was placed on administrative leave from her job as a North Andover police officer. Okay, next incident, May 10th, 2025. Shortly thereafter, another situation occurred that caused father to have serious concerns relative to the mother's ability to care for their child. On or about May 10th, 2025, the parties and the child had dinner at the father's parents' house in Stowe, Massachusetts with his family. It was a peaceful and enjoyable day. After dinner, the parties made plans to meet father's childhood friend David and his girlfriend at a brewery in Marlborough, Massachusetts, so they could introduce them to the child for the first time. Great idea. Let's take the baby to a brewery. Excellent idea. Good parenting, Justin. We heard about this incident before. The parties arrived at the brewery at 6:30 p.m. and met David and his girlfriend outside. As the parties were waiting for our table, David and father were reminiscing about the last time they were at that brewery, which was approximately 5 years prior. While recalling who was present at the time, David innocently mentioned the name of father's ex-girlfriend. Oh, this is right out of the Jen McCabe playbook. David innocently mentioned it. Immediately after hearing father's ex-girlfriend's name, mother glared at father and sent him a text demanding they leave right away. Given that mother had always openly talked about her past relationships and that mother knew David well enough to know that he didn't mean any harm by mentioning father's ex-girlfriend's name, father was confused by mother's reaction. Oh, yeah, right, he was. Nevertheless, they stayed and enjoyed the evening. They who? They all enjoyed the evening? I don't think Kelsey enjoyed the evening, but, this is a guess. Oh, that's the day before Mother's Day, says Court Chopped. Thanks, Court Chopped. However, as soon as the parties and the child got into father's truck to leave the brewery, mother appeared visibly furious. During the entire 45-minute drive home, she continued to scream and swear at father at the top of her lungs. She yelled, "F you effing a-hole," over and over again. Father begged her to lower her voice as the baby had started crying and was upset. Despite this, she continued to scream and swear uncontrollably and was flailing her arms and appeared to be emotionally unstable. Mother's behavior during the drive was erratic and frightening, given that the three of them were confined to such a small space. Who was driving that time? Oh, it was the father's truck, but it doesn't say who was driving. May 2025. This is another example. Another example of mother's erratic and concerning behavior occurred shortly thereafter. In or around May of 2025, when father returned home after his 24-hour shift at approximately 8 a.m., mother told father that when the baby woke up that morning, she had picked him up and placed him in their bed next to her. Then mother fell asleep. Mother told father that while she was sleeping, the baby rolled over off the bed and onto the floor, which was approximately a 2 to 3 foot drop. Mother was awoken by his loud screams of pain. At this time, both parties knew that Caden was able to roll over, as they had witnessed him do so several times before. Thankfully, the baby was okay, but mother's negligence put father in fear for their son's safety. Mother admits in her answer to interrogatory number 24 that this occurred. Kathy says, work this whole story backwards from her postpartum episode. I think this episode was fodder for all the other things he said happened. It was the basis for his narrative. PJ Wolf says, gaslighting is really over the top, and this is so ridiculous. Georgia said, why did he say? He's so fake. Christy said, might have been his truck, but I bet she funded the gas. Well done. Somebody else said, I don't believe a 3-month-old was rolling over. CPU Mod 1 says, I feel this is all hearsay and lies. Why should we believe Justin at all? He's eating shrooms and getting his freezer treats. Man, not okay in my opinion. He's scary, not Kelsey. It's going to be up to a judge. June 6, 2025. Further, on or about June 6, 2025, father attended the funeral of a fellow North Andover firefighter who had passed away suddenly on May 29, 2025. Nearly the entire North Andover Fire Department was present to honor him. After such a service, it is customary to hold a mercy meal where family, friends, and colleagues gather to offer support to the deceased families. This specific gathering took place at Relief's Inn in Lawrence, Massachusetts. Before attending the mercy meal, father stopped briefly at the party's home in North Andover to check on mother and the baby. Father informed mother that he was going to attend the mercy meal for approximately 1 to 1.5 hours and that he would keep her updated as to his timing. Father ended up arriving home approximately 30 minutes later than anticipated, as he and his colleagues were sharing stories about the fallen firefighter. Here he is making excuses. He's making excuses. He doth protest too much. Tom Gully Show is here and says, father never passes up the mercy meal, a free mercy meal. Hold on. Al dente, it says, another bar. When father entered the house, mother was irate. Mother began screaming and swearing at father and expressed annoyance that she had to watch the baby during the day. Father explained to mother that this was not a social outing, but a memorial for a colleague and fellow firefighter. She began yelling and screaming and blaming father for her Section 12 holding in March of 2025 and stated that she should never have been placed on administrative leave. She accosted father for telling the doctor that she was not stable to care for herself or the baby that night. What if this is all gaslighting? What if it was all planned? I don't know. But I do know this. This is what a narcissist does. They fabricate a story that is so righteous and so noble and honorable. The thing that they're doing is so noble and honorable and righteous that how could you possibly get mad at me for being late when I was doing this really, really, really wonderful thing. Does anybody know what I'm talking about? During this outburst, the baby, who was approximately 3 months old at the time, was present in the living room. Mother picked up one of the plates of food that had been delivered and smashed it into the coffee table. Food and debris covered the couch floor, walls, and ceiling. The baby witnessed the entire episode. Clever Lee Twisted says, does father not get that he's drinking or drunk in every one of his stories? Shannon says, yes, yes, yes. Spell it out, Melanie. Carrie said, if he was really concerned, he would not even have considered leaving. The baby witnessed the entire episode. Mother then grabbed the baby, despite father's repeated pleas for her to stop. She grabbed the car keys, headed for the door, and ignored father's attempts to calm her down and prevent her from leaving with the baby. Father told mother multiple times that she was not in a safe mental state to be driving, especially with their son. Mother refused to respond. Moments later, father heard her tires screech as she drove away with the baby, leaving father in complete fear for both the baby's safety and mother's safety. June 38th, 2025 through June 30th, 2025. It does say that. June 38th, 2025 through June 30, 2025. Father's concerns relative to mother's state of mind reached an all-time high on the weekend of June 28th, 2025 through June 30th, 2025. After the parties got engaged, they decided to host a joint bachelorette trip during the weekend of June 28th, 2025 through June 30th before their wedding, which was scheduled for October 4th, 2025. The parties invited their entire wedding party, which consisted of their siblings and friends. No, he never called 911, except for, I guess, that one time. J0362 says he just put this out into the public as to make people not support Kelsey because she has a GoFundMe. They rented a large Airbnb in Bethel, Maine for the weekend. On the night of June 28th, the first night of the trip, everyone was hanging out, using the jacuzzi, and playing lawn games outside. Most of the group were casually drinking, just casually. Early that night, the mother took several shots of 100 proof whiskey straight from the bottle and drank several other alcoholic seltzers and beers within a short span of time. Father asked her to please slow down and drink some water and eat some food. Mother ignored his request and continued drinking heavily. Throughout the night, mother became more and more intoxicated. She began exhibiting erratic behavior and repeating the same words over and over again. She was running around yelling, Effity F and Krusty Krab. Krusty Krab has entered the chat. Father again offered mother some food and water, which she refused. At around 9:30 p.m., father went outside to sit on the deck with some of the other guests. At this time, mother's friend and bridesmaid, Katrina, came outside and stated that she, quote, couldn't deal with mother and that mother was out of control. Mother then came outside and asked father to play a drinking game with her. Father declined and mother immediately became upset and angry. Probably because he was playing drinking games with all the other girls. I don't know. I'm just guessing. Was SpongeBob there too? I guess. Mother continued to drink several seltzers, beer, and liquor, and soon became slurring her words. At around 11 p.m., tell me if I'm wrong, but is this the first incident that we've read about during this work of potential fiction in which alcohol was involved for Kelsey, in which Kelsey was drinking? Is this the first episode of Kelsey drinking in this entire novel? Or was she drinking in any of the other ones? Because they're all conflated in my head right now. FDF and Krusty Krab. May 10th, Archie says, was the day before Mother's Day. Kelsey has her own story for Mother's Day. Kelly says, yes. Wendy says, yes, the first one where she was drinking. Right. And then it's so crazy because Judge McCarthy Nyman put all of these alcohol restrictions on her. And yet, even though Justin made up so many stories, maybe the only one involving alcohol is at the bachelorette party. Mother began slurring her words. At around 11 p.m., father went upstairs to the master suite to brush his teeth and use the bathroom because he has such good dental hygiene. Mother followed him upstairs to their room and suddenly began yelling at father, calling him names and swearing at him. Mother then tried to initiate intimacy. Mother was overly intoxicated at this time, and father decided it was best to remove himself from the situation. That's good. Always run away. Always run away from your drunk sicko yelling at you. That's a great idea. After using the bathroom, father went downstairs to sit with his brother and friend. To sit with or drink with. Mother followed him downstairs, her face red with anger, and whispered in his ear that he was an effing a-hole and asked him to go upstairs to talk. She then tried to pull father upstairs to their master's suite. Given her history and the fact that their friends and family were present, father was scared what her reaction would be if he did not comply. As he got up to follow mother, he whispered in his brother's ear that he might need his help. Once the parties were upstairs, mother began speaking in words that father could not understand. She was clearly angry at father about something as she continued to raise her voice and was flailing her body while doing so. Father told her that he did not feel comfortable and that they should talk tomorrow and that she should get some rest and drink some water. Father assured her that everything was okay and that they were going to have a fun weekend with their friends. At this time, father's brother knocked on the bedroom door and asked father to come downstairs. Mother stepped in front of father, preventing him from leaving. About 3 to 4 minutes later, father's brother came to the door again, asking him to come downstairs. Father attempted to move towards the door to leave the room, and mother stepped in front of him and would not allow him to leave. Father told his brother that he would be down in 1 minute. Mother then became visibly upset, asking why he would leave her and why he wanted to go downstairs. Father told her that he was uncomfortable being alone with her at that time and that she appeared very aggressive. That's a really great thing to say to a woman who might be drunk. Isn't it? Seems like he'd rather go hang around with his friends and his siblings and drink some more than take care of his maybe potentially drunk fiance. Or at least lay with her and pet her until she falls asleep. How about that? I don't know. It's just a suggestion. She was speaking in tongues. Exactly. Speaking in tongues. About 1 minute later, father's brother knocked on the door a third time because, everything happens in threes for these people. Father told mother he was removing myself. He was removing myself from the situation. Somebody forgot to change subject in these sentences. At this point, mother accused father of closing her fingers in the door. Father responded that he did not close her fingers in the door and asked why she would make that up. At this point, father witnessed mother clenching her right hand into a closed fist. Father attempted to move towards the door as father feared that mother was about to assault him, as she had done before. Mother then struck father 3 times in the face with her closed fist, right? Because 3 is the magic number. Knocked on the door 3 times, knocked 3 times on the ceiling. Struck him 3 times in the face, because if it happened 3 times, then it's definitely not made up. 3 is the magic number. Father tried to move away as he did not believe she was going to stop hitting him. She hit him so hard that the next morning, father woke up with a swollen nose and a red face. Pictures, or it didn't happen. Father was able to make it to the door and open it. However, mother grabbed his arm and pulled him back inside the room as hard as she could. Father's brother and sister Courtney witnessed mother grab father and pull him back into the room. At this point, mother completely changed her persona and calmly asked father's brother, "What are you talking about? We were just talking in bed." Stunned at what just occurred, father moved out of the room and froze in the doorway as some of their friends and family started to come upstairs. Father's sister Courtney helped father get downstairs and exit the house. Father's friend David met them outside, and they decided that David would drive him and father to a nearby motel for the night, as father did not want to re-enter the house or be around mother. David's the one who innocently mentioned the ex-girlfriend at the brewery. Remember? I do. Father and David arrived at the Town and Country Inn and Resort in Shelburne, New Hampshire at approximately 12:30 a.m. that night. Father was terrified that mother was going to try and find them and assault him again. Mother attempted to call and text the father several times that night, so father eventually shut my phone off. Father eventually shut my phone off. I wonder if she had his location. I wonder if they shared location. The next day, father was informed that after he and David had left the house, okay, so hearsay, mother had physically and verbally assaulted several of her bridesmaids. Mother threw a full-sized metal Stanley cup and a box of glass from the top of the stairs at her friend and bridesmaid, Deandra, barely missing her head and denting the cup. Mother also yelled at Deandra, "I will take your life. I will effing take your life." See Exhibit C. All right, so who's turned on Kelsey? Let's see. Deandra and Katrina and Michelle. Mother also pulled her friend and bridesmaid Katrina's hair. According to Michelle's deposition testimony, mother proceeded to yell at Michelle and kick her in the left knee. It sounds like something I once saw in a cartoon. Mother then ran into the woods that night, drunk, screaming, "I need my son." Michelle and two other bridesmaids got into a vehicle and began searching for her. Mother was not answering her cell phone. According to Michelle's deposition testimony, when the mother finally answered her phone, mother had shallow breathing and, quote, sounded distressed. Mother informed her that she was, quote, standing in a river. Shortly thereafter, the phone call disconnected. It sounds like a horror movie. Out of concern for mother's safety and well-being, Michelle called 911 and informed the operator that there was an intoxicated person in the woods experiencing a mental health episode. Oh, really? Kind of like there's a man passed out in the snow? Or there's a guy unresponsive in the snow? There was an intoxicated person in the woods experiencing a mental health episode? I'd love to hear that 911 call. Does anyone have that 911 call? Is it out? While Michelle was on the phone with the operator, and remember also, Michelle is, I think, a corrections officer, right? The mother pulled up next to Michelle's vehicle with her in her younger brother's car. Well, I thought she just ran into the woods and she was in a river, and now she pulled up in her brother's car. At this time, mother's stepsister, who was in the car with Michelle, got out of the car, entered mother's younger brother's car, and drove away. As such, when the police arrived at the Airbnb, mother was already gone. Oh, I wonder if there's a report on that call. According to Michelle's deposition testimony, the mother was exhibiting erratic behavior that night by running off into the woods intoxicated and acting unfazed after assaulting father. Michelle testified that mother's reaction after that was just not normal. Mother called her mother and stepfather and instructed them to drive from their home in Methuen, Massachusetts, to pick up the child at father's parents' house in Stowe, nearly a 45-minute commute. Mother's mother called father's parents and told them she was coming to pick up the child. Who cares how long it is? If your daughter calls you and tells you, go pick up your grandchild, you're going to go pick up your grandchild. Doesn't matter that it's a 45-minute commute. But Justin's making it look like it's bad. Are we out of the woods yet? Are we out of the woods yet? Are we out of the woods yet, Jessica? We're not out of the woods yet. Hold, please. Mother's mother and stepfather arrived. Mother's mother called father's parents, told them she was going to come pick up the child. Mother's mother and stepfather arrived at the father's parents' house at 3 a.m., roughly 3 a.m., and demanded to take the baby with them. Father's parents tried to discuss with them what was going on, but mother's mother and stepfather were adamant that mother was not to blame and refused to acknowledge the violent and concerning behavior that mother had exhibited that night. Mother's mother and stepfather woke the baby up in the middle of the night and brought him to mother despite mother's episode merely hours earlier. Throughout the next day, the father was communicating with mother via telephone calls and text messages. Father expressed that he was scared to be alone around her after she physically assaulted him the night before, and that he was concerned about her mental health and her ability to care for their son at that time. Mother responded to father with extremely concerning messages, including the following: that she was going far, far away for a long time. We saw these messages. Quote, "I promise you I'm not going to be okay. Kaden and I are not okay. We need you. We are both not okay. I can't do this. I am so scared and worried about me. You won't have me and you won't have him. Mother demanded that father come to her house and told him that she could not and would not take care of the baby by herself. Throughout the day, mother tried to manipulate father into coming over. Father requested several times that she allow him to take the baby, but she refused. Wasn't that the day that she asked him, and maybe it was the next day, she asked him to watch the baby so she could go to her CPR class at the precinct? That day, and out of concern for mother and baby's safety, Michelle called North Andover Police Department and requested a well-being check on mother and the baby. Throughout the rest of the day, mother continued to call father and swear and yell at him on the phone while in the presence of the baby. Okay, well, did the North Andover PD do a welfare check? Or was that the day that they reported that maybe there was a car accident? And that maybe Kelsey and her sister and brother tried to run them off the road? Yeah, I think this is a little misstated here. Given mother's mental state and history of suicidal ideation and violence, father decided to go to her house to check on the baby and retrieve his firearms from the house. Father first had to drive to his brother's apartment in Nashua, New Hampshire, to retrieve his keys and belongings, as she had left them at the house in Bethel, Maine, the night before, when the trip was cut short due to mother's actions. Father's father accompanied him to Nashua. During the drive, father called mother's stepfather and asked if he could meet them at 125 Phillipsburg Road so that father could retrieve his firearms. Father told him that given mother's recent violent outburst and concerning behavior, he was terrified that his firearms were in the house with her and that she was alone with the baby. Mother's stepfather told father that he would call him back, but he never did. Mother's stepfather never reached back out. Oh, so they're the bad people too. It's all their fault. This was the 29th. Okay. Before entering 125 Phillipsburg Road, father again told mother that he did not feel safe entering the residence alone and that he was going to bring his father with him. Father told mother he was coming to retrieve his personal belongings and clothes. When father and his father arrived at mother's residence, mother would not allow father's father to come in. Father told her to either call her mother to help facilitate the exchange or that father would be calling the police. She eventually called her mother to come over to facilitate the exchange. Exchange of what? Weapons? As soon as father entered mother's residence, father immediately went to retrieve his firearms. The next day, and that was wasn't that the day also she asked him to hold the baby and he didn't want to? And he left all her firearms there, even though he was in so much fear for his baby. The next day, June 30th, 2025, father again asked mother to allow him to take the baby. Oh, she asked him to watch the baby so she could go to CPR class, right? At around 12:30 p.m., father called Michelle to inquire what Lieutenant Whitaker had said to her the day prior. Michelle informed father that Lieutenant Whitaker had just messaged her to follow up on the situation. Oh, they were all working behind Kelsey's back. She planned on calling him back to inform him of the events that took place on June 28th, 2025 in Maine. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. She asked him to hold the baby on the 29th, which was the day that he went to retrieve his firearms. Correct. Thanks, Coco. That same day, father met Katrina Caruso, mother's friend, Hunter Hassam, father's friend, Courtney Aylaian, father's sister, and Michelle Mitchell at Hunter's apartment in North Andover, as they were all concerned for mother and the baby's safety. Or they were having a pool party. We're not really sure. Prior to meeting, father called the town of North Andover's community support coordinator, Crystal Clooney, who was present the night that mother was involuntarily committed to the hospital in March of 2025, and described to her the events of the past weekend. Crystal told father she would get in contact with Lieutenant Domenico, mother's direct supervisor. Crystal recommended that father obtain a restraining order. Really? It was Crystal who recommended it? Oh. Crystal was there to help take Kelsey in for a section, but Crystal wasn't there the day that they served the restraining order that Crystal told Justin to get. That's new information for me. Father spoke. I wonder if the family has any connection with Crystal Clooney. Hmm. Hmm. It's not spelled like George Clooney. It's Clunie, in case you're just listening. Father spoke with Lieutenant Whitaker that day and explained to him that he believed that mother was a danger to herself and the baby. Later that day, mother drove by Hunter's apartment and saw father's truck and their friends' vehicles parked outside. She began driving by the apartment and messaging father frantically. Thought it was a house with a pool, but now it's an apartment? Where are those conversations with Lieutenant Whitaker? Because all the recordings of the conversations about Justin breaking into the house have been released before he went to the house, and they told him he could because he had every right to when Kelsey was in the hospital. It was at this point that father decided to drive to the Essex Probate and Family Court in Lawrence, Massachusetts with his sister to seek and obtain a 209A abuse prevention order. Oh, I remember. That is when he called Lieutenant Whitaker and say, "Isn't there anything you can do? She wants to take the baby to her land in New Hampshire." And then Courtney was like, "I have experience with this, and I know we're going to go to court and get an order." Okay. Against the mother, which was granted that day and which granted him custody of the child. Once father obtained the 209A abuse prevention order, father drove to the North Andover PD and explained the situation. Father spoke with Officer Daly and Lieutenant Whitaker and relayed to them at least 10 times that father believed mother was a danger to herself, the baby, and any officers that served the restraining order on her. Well, thank you, Justin, for just bolstering Kelsey's potential lawsuit against the town of North Andover because they were on notice of this exact thing. And what you said was going to happen actually happened. Officers then left to serve mother with the restraining order at her residence. About 20 minutes after the officers left to serve mother with the restraining order, Officer Daly called the father and instructed him to come to mother's residence to take custody of our son. Our son, mine and Justin's. Nobody proofreads anything. Right. Even though he left her and the baby with the firearms the night before. Her firearms, I think she had at least 3, right? Oh, please. They never secured the weapons. Nope. They didn't bring Crystal Clooney. Nope. Oh, please. When father arrived at 125 Phillipsbrook Road with his sister, there were 2 officers upstairs with mother and 1 officer on the first floor with mother's mother, who was holding the baby. Father took the baby from mother's mother and started to put him in his car seat. However, he started crying. So father's sister and father decided to carry him outside and put him in the car seat outside. Father's sister held the baby and stood with him next to father's truck while he went inside to quickly pack some of his belongings. Well, not exactly true because I think we saw Courtney walking outside with the baby alone, but I could be mistaken. Father headed to the basement to find a piece of luggage. When father began to walk towards the stairs to head up to the first floor, father heard an officer scream, "No, stop, don't do it." Father then heard what he believed to be gunshots and mother screaming. Father immediately turned around and ran out of the garage. Father screamed to his sister to run. As soon as father rounded the house, father saw his sister running down the street with the baby in her arms. Father ran to his truck and witnessed Officer Houston grab his medical bag from his patrol car. Once father got into his truck, father started to drive in the direction that he saw his sister running. Father's sister came running towards his truck from behind a neighbor's house, and they immediately drove to father's parents' house in Stowe, Massachusetts. It doesn't say he fell, but we've watched that video many, many, many times. Father has never been more scared than he was that day. Once they safely arrived at father's parents' house in Stowe, a lieutenant from the Stowe PD came over to discuss what had just occurred. She told them that the Stowe Police Department would remain in contact and would increase patrol in the area. Oh, I wonder if that was Katie Gerke. As father and his family were terrified that mother's family would retaliate against them, given their tendency to enable mother's behavior. It is worth noting that when Michelle Mitchell visited the mother in the hospital shortly after the shooting, the mother stated to Michelle, quote, "How dumb am I? I tried to shoot myself with an unloaded gun. I want to die. I need my son." Well, isn't that interesting? Because when that statement to Michelle suits Justin, he wants it in the papers. But during the trial, that statement was not allowed in because it was hearsay, right? I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure Bradel tried to ask about that and it wasn't allowed in. But now I don't recall because that bolsters Kelsey's criminal case, in which her story is she tried to take her own life and never pointed it at Noonan. And that absolutely bolsters it. That's right. Law Junkie says Crystal Clooney worked closely with North Andover Fire and Police. Justin knew her. Mother also told Michelle that she was the best effing friend I've ever had. The morning of June 30th, prior to father obtaining the 209A order. On the morning of June 30th, mother informed father via text message that she made the unilateral decision to cancel the child's hernia surgery that was scheduled for July 2nd. Mother was well aware that this was a necessary procedure, and her unilateral decision to cancel it put the child's health and well-being at risk. The surgery was intended to repair a confirmed inguinal hernia on the baby's right side, and the surgical team also planned on evaluating possible hernia on his left side as well as an umbilical hernia during the operation. On June 29th, the day before father sought the order, father went to the house to retrieve some belongings while mother's mother was present. During that visit, father asked to take the baby so that he could ensure that he made it to his scheduled surgery, but mother refused. She stated she did not want to drive to Boston alone for the surgery and asked if father would drive with her. Father explained that he was not comfortable being alone with her after she had physically assaulted him just a day earlier in Bethel, Maine. Mother told father that she could not handle driving alone to the surgery or fasting the baby for the surgery. Father emphasized that this was not about her comfort, it was about the child's health and medical needs. Father assured her that if she allowed him to take the baby, he would ensure that the baby properly fasted, that father would transport the baby to the hospital, complete all necessary preoperative steps, and care for the baby both before and after the procedure. Except for he didn't have any money for gas. He didn't have any money for gas. Oh, Law Junkie says, OMG, Crystal Clooney worked for the North Andover Fire Department. Father also offered to meet mother directly at the hospital if she would not agree to allow me, if she would not allow to, if she would not, oh my God. Father also offered to meet mother directly at the hospital if she would not agree to allow me to take the baby himself. Mother refused every reasonable option, and mother's mother insisted that it wasn't fair for mother to drive alone if she wanted father to drive with her. Father explained that fairness to mother should not take precedence over their son's health, especially given mother's actions and behaviors over the last 48 hours. It should be noted that mother was very familiar with driving into and from Boston as she previously lived there and attended school there. Mother has driven herself to and from Boston by herself countless times. Oh, I'm sorry. Are you now calling her a baby? She's a police officer. I don't think she was afraid to drive into Boston. She was a corrections officer, for God's sakes. Nevertheless, mother told father that if he did not agree to drive with her, she was going to cancel the surgery, despite the known risks associated with canceling the surgery, including but not limited to hernia strangulation. Father reminded mother how important the surgery was and that by canceling the surgery, she would be risking the baby's health. Don't worry, we're almost done. We are so close to the end. We're so close to the edge. One more page. We can do it. We can do it. It should also be noted that in the months leading up to the scheduled surgery, the child had experienced episodes of intense pain and crying when the hernia bulged, which occurred as often as every day or every other day. That is very sad. If left untreated, this condition could quickly escalate into a surgical emergency with serious consequences. Nevertheless, mother informed father that she canceled the surgery. By doing so, mother was intentionally harming the baby and failing to prioritize his well-being. For mother's fits of rage during her pregnancy and after giving birth. Both during mother's pregnancy and after the baby was born, there have been several other situations where mother has expressed fits of rage that put father in fear for his own safety, mother's safety, and the baby's safety. In or around September 2024, while mother was pregnant, after mother's dog had an accident inside the house, she kicked the pantry door and broke it. Father and his friend had to replace the door. Question, did he forget to walk the dog? Because he was outside smoking a bong? I don't know. Just hypothesizing. On around October 2024, while mother was pregnant with the child, in a fit of rage, mother suddenly and randomly kicked and broke the basement door, which had to be replaced. On around December 2024, while mother was pregnant with the child, during another violent outburst, mother threw objects around the house, eventually shattering a window in the sunroom patio. Father was at work at the time, and upon his return, noticed the shattered window and asked mother what had happened. Mother told him that she was angry and that she threw an object out of anger. Father cleaned up the glass outside the house. On around April of 2025, while the mother was home alone with the child, who was approximately 2 months old at the time, mother broke a glass panel in the nursery door during another violent outburst. Father was at work at the time, and upon his return, noticed the broken panel and asked her what had happened. She explained that she had become angry and forcibly threw an object at the door, which broke it. The thought of mother becoming this violent and angry when she was alone with the baby terrified father. 5. We're at 5. Mother's alcohol abuse prior to and after her pregnancy. On or about November 10th, 2023, only a few months after the parties began dating, father wanted to introduce mother to his friends. So father invited her to one of his closest childhood friends' house in Boston, Massachusetts, where he lived with his fiance, as they were hosting a monthly game night. Husband's sister, Courtney, also attended the game night. Throughout the evening, mother became extremely intoxicated, so much so that she was rolling on the floor, unable to walk steadily and unable to speak coherently. But was she yelling Krusty Krab over and over and over and over? The situation became uncomfortable for everyone, so father ended the night early and drove her home. During the drive, despite father's repeated requests for her to buckle her seatbelt, mother refused to listen. At one point, mother threw her upper body on top of the father while he was driving. This startled father and nearly caused an accident. Mother ignored father's attempts to regain control of the situation and repeatedly turned the radio volume up very loud after he continued to lower it so that he could focus on driving. Mother's response was punching the vehicle's radio with her fist. During the drive home, father had to pull over on the exit ramps of I-93 and I-495 so that mother could vomit. When the parties arrived at mother's house in North Andover, Mass., she was unable to walk on her own and could not speak coherently. Father carried her inside and put her in bed. Mother repeatedly crawled out of bed and toward the top of the staircase despite father telling her to stop. So he's got 2 instances of her being drunk. Two. He was scared she was going to fall down the stairs, fearing she was going to fall down the stairs in the middle of the night. Father sat at the top of the stairs the entire night to ensure that she did not injure herself. Father did not sleep that night. Oh, what a saint. Wow. Father was completely taken aback by mother's violent behavior that she exhibited in the car that night and the danger she continued to put herself in. Okay, by crawling towards the top of the staircase, completely intoxicated. Okay, why didn't you break up? Why did you wind up getting engaged and pregnant? This was only right after you started dating. Why didn't you, if these were such red flags, Justin, Why were you seeing a parade? Father was in fear of mother that night and felt that she was going to hurt herself. On another instance, and according to Michelle Mitchell's, but now it's Michelle's deposition testimony. On another instance, around 2023, again, 2 years before they were scheduled to be married, she went with Michelle to a rooftop bar in Boston, 2023. Mother had one drink and immediately became severely intoxicated, not as if she only had one drink. Maybe she got roofied. She ended up throwing up, and Michelle drove her back to the house and stayed with her until the next morning to make sure she was all right. I don't know. Was Matthew Farwell anywhere in the vicinity at this rooftop bar in Boston? Because we've heard that Matthew Farwell may or may not have been roofing people around that time. I think this was 2023. Mother also engaged in heavy drinking after the child was born. Shortly after the child was born on February 16th and through June of 2025, mother was drinking alcohol to the point of intoxication almost daily and was, drinking and driving. How did Kathleen McCarthy-Nyman know about this? Who told her this information? What ex parte information did she get? Because none of this was in the probate and family court filings, which that judge should not have looked for anyway. But who told Judge McCarthy-Nyman that? We were wondering why Kelsey had alcohol conditions around her, bail conditions and scram monitoring and all of that stuff. Who told her? Anyone? Oftentimes she would leave the home drunk to go pick up more alcohol. Was any of this stuff in the probate filings for the restraining order? I don't think it was. After father voiced his concerns to mother about her drinking and driving, mother began ordering alcohol via alcohol delivery services late at night. Alcohol was being delivered directly to their front door, often late at night after mother was already intoxicated. Well, this is all according to Justin, not Michelle. This part. Do you have DoorDash orders to back that up? Father again expressed his concerns to mother about her drinking. Father told her that her drinking was creating an unsafe environment for their son. Despite his concerns, mother continued to engage in this pattern from February of 2025 through June of 2025. During that time, father was in a constant state of fear as mother was heavily drinking with their son in the home and continued to appear to be in an unstable emotional and mental state. Jessica says, I bet he ordered his booze through her apps. Other people are saying she was breastfeeding. It doesn't make any sense. There's cameras all outside the house, right? During this time, father was in a constant state of fear as mother was heavily drinking with their son in the home and continued to appear to be in an unstable emotional and mental state. On or about June 25th, 2025, just days before the party's joint bachelorette party in Bethel, Maine, at approximately 11 p.m., father found mother completely unconscious and laying naked on the floor between the couch and the coffee table in the living room. It was clear that mother was heavily intoxicated. Father carefully lifted mother onto the couch, dressed her, and covered her with a blanket. Oh, you're such a hero. Why didn't you cancel the wedding? Why didn't you cancel the bachelor party if all this is true? Shortly thereafter, father heard the baby crying upstairs, so he went to check on him. Oh, well done, Daddy. After the baby fell back asleep, father returned to the living room. Mother was once again naked and passed out on the floor in the same area. Father tried to wake her up and offered to help her back onto the couch, but she remained unresponsive and did not speak or move despite his efforts. At this time, father heard the baby begin to stir and cry again, so he returned to his room. Given mother's state and father's growing concern for their son's well-being, father chose to stay upstairs with the baby for the remainder of the night to ensure that he was safe. Such a protector. Given mother's recent threats of taking her life and heavy use of alcohol at the time, father was greatly concerned for all their safety. Why? Then why? Why, Justin? Why? Why, if this happened, like you're saying, on June 25th of 2025, did you go to Maine to continue the partying at your bachelorette party with all your friends and family? Why would you do that? It's rhetorical. The answer is you wouldn't. You wouldn't. Oh, are you afraid you're going to lose a couple hundo on the Airbnb? Come on. Come on. Conclusions or conclusion. For all these reasons, it is the father's position that the father shall continue to have legal and physical custody of the child. That said, the father acknowledges that it's important for the child to be reunited with the mother, but believes this should be done in a controlled and professionally supervised environment. As such, it's the father's position mother have weekly supervised visits with the child at the Center for Achieving Balance for Children and Families 1 time per week for up to 5 hours, and that this matter be scheduled for a review hearing in approximately 60 days. It is father's further position that given the heightened media attention that this matter currently has, it is in the best interest of the child that neither party nor any third party post pictures and or videos of the child on the internet. The child should not be subject to such media attention. Further, since the verdict was entered in mother's criminal trial, the mother has been increasingly active on the internet, including but not limited to engaging in online interviews and podcasts. According to justiceforkelsey.com, there is currently a Give Send Go platform that indicates a balance of approximately $172,666. 666 are devil numbers. And you know what? You know what I'm going to do right now? I'm going to put the QR code for Kelsey's GoFundMe up there in the corner. There it is. As you can see, this is going to be a long, drawn out, vicious fight for Kelsey to not lose her parental rights or to regain some semblance of her parental rights and some semblance of visitation with her own child. Remember, Justin did give an exclusive interview to one of the local stations, but he wouldn't allow them to video record it. I'm going to scan the QR code right now and see how much money is in there now. Because at the time of this filing, it was 172,666. Now it is 174,265. It is also father's position that the mother submit to appropriate mental health treatment if she's not already, and that the father, through counsel, be provided with information relative to the mother's mental health and treatment and well-being. Finally, given the mother's history of substance abuse, it's the father's position that the mother should submit to a 14-panel hair follicle test. Within the last month, father has submitted to 2 hair follicle tests. Oh, okay, he already did. And has tested negative for all substances on both. Father will produce copies of his test results upon the court's or mother's counsel's request. The motion is further supported by such arguments that may be advanced by counsel at the time of the hearing, wherefore father respectfully requests that the court allow the within motion and that the attached proposed further temporary orders be granted, and XOXOXO with both fingers crossed behind my back on both hands, Justin Aylaian. People are like, whose hair did they test? Well, that was quite a document. It was 38 pages. Has anybody else read the whole entire thing to you? Am I the only one who's read the whole entire thing to you? Because I'm telling you, my voice is exhausted, but I'm not done yet because I now have an affidavit of Kelsey to read to you. Kelsey's affidavit. This one was filed. Wait, what is this? This is something different. No, we already read this one. This one's old. This is from March 11th, 2026. So it's not new. Never mind. This is all about him getting the Adderall from his cousin, all that stuff. We've already been over it. Okay. Whew. Tell me what your thoughts are. Let's go back to the chat for a moment. Charles Argo said, I would like to see a photo extraction of his phone. Sarah says, well, I was Kelsey 37 years ago because I was with an abuser alcoholic. These behaviors were because he gaslit me. Once I got away from him, life was all good. Congratulations, Sarah, on getting away. Lola, the good dog, says she had PPD, but he's trying to make her sound like she had postpartum psychosis. You would never think he was a fireman or a first responder from this. Lynn says, even if this is true, since when is it okay to weaponize mental health? This is exactly why people don't want to come forward and ask for help. Thank you, Betsy. She says, I'm outraged. Thanks for your Venmo, Betsy. I appreciate you so much. And you're right, Lynn. You're right. More people will hesitate to come forward in the future. Trainer says, I'm hearing Kelsey's having a mental health crisis. I'm hearing is Kelsey having a mental health crisis. Thank you for being here for 11 months. Sounds like it. Charles says 100% whiskey is BS. It doesn't exist. Thank you for coming in from South Africa and telling me that. Looney became a new member. Welcome. Not a house defendant says the rule of three, illusory truth effect. Repeated exposure to a statement increases its perceived validity, even if it is false. It's a good reminder for everyone to hit the like button. And also, it helps the algorithm because YouTube's algorithm is changing and it's pushing you towards AI and shorts. Nobody wants that. Thank you for your 5. Java Julene says, what's the name of Kelsey's friend who was on Mazza a while back? Where is she in all this? Was she at the party? I don't know. I don't know. If anybody knows, you can tag Java Julene in the chat. Lola says, funny how he forgot to mention that he hid his stash in the glove compartment of the car Kelsey was riding into Maine, putting her at risk. Right. Right. That's so funny, right? Sassy said, the plan was always being conspired well before Maine, I think. And just like him and family manipulated police, they did to her friends as well. Kitty Cat said, why does it sound like she's being drugged when drinking? Interesting. Glamasu says, I trust gas station sushi more than I trust Justin's statements. Aw, you're an OG, 27 months. B Crumbs gifted 10 memberships. Thank you so much. You're such a sweetheart. I love you with all of my heart. You're the greatest. Thank you, guys. There's so many new members today. I mean, I think at least 50. Common Sense Investigator Lauren says, Java, no, she lives in Florida and she's a quality friend. Keep your circle small, folks. Keep your circle small. Thank you, B Crumbs. And thank you for your emoji. And thanks for being here for 11 months. I mean, I don't know what to believe. There's always at least 3 sides to every story, right? His side, her side, the truth. I think a judge is going to want proof of all of this stuff. And I think they're going to have to prove it. Strange Credulity gifted 5 memberships. Thank you so very much. I've got merch. Thank you so very much. You're the greatest. Yeah. Little Cupcake said, right. She says, I think he hid his shrooms in her glove box for her drive up to the shower. Then when she got pissed at him over it, he enjoyed making her look like a psycho for getting mad over what he did, right? And risking her status as a police officer. She was like, yeah, I'm a police officer. I can't have psychedelic shrooms in my glove compartment. How dare you? We have an emoji that says, how dare you? I know I need to hydrate. Thank you. Thank you for reminding me to hydrate. Right. And the hit of acid in the fridge. Exactly. Thank you, Strange Credulity. Let me know what you think. So this is coming up for a hearing on, I think, Tuesday, the 14th. Yeah. So I expect that perhaps we will hear a response from Kelsey before then, and then we can get back on the air, and hopefully it won't take us almost 4 hours to read that. But who knows how long it would take. Okay. Thoughts, questions, comments, concerns. This was a long one today. I wasn't watching the chat, but did anyone else read this whole entire 38-page thing to you? I know that Defense Diaries had Judge Carol Erskine on their show the other day. She gave her thoughts. I haven't had a chance to watch the whole entire thing. But if you did watch the whole entire thing, let me know how it was. And if you did not watch the whole entire thing, go over to Defense Diaries and get it. Oh, thank you very much. Gator Boy wrote me an email and said, "Hey, thanks for sharing that post. I'm a big fan of yours." And I know Kelsey really wanted to get that out there about this corrections officer. And apparently what had happened was Pacheco, the corrections officer who ripped up the picture of Kaden in Kelsey's cell and strip searched her many times gratuitously, her husband apparently liked the post or found it funny and then deleted it. And of course, Gator Boy, too, has photos of that. So thank you very much, Gator Boy. Thank you, Deborah, for your Venmo, who says this filing is way too aggressive and no judge will fall for this without testimony that's credible. Just saying. Just saying. Judge Erskine was so angry. Says Martine to you. One more thing. Oh, I just got an email that YouTube Premium has updated its pricing. And now it is going to be $15.99 a month. Oh, also know that there are other levels of YouTube Premium. You don't have to get the, and there's like a YouTube Premium Lite. There's also a student version of YouTube Premium, and there's other less expensive options. But for those of you who have YouTube Premium and never ever get commercials, you know that it is worth its weight in gold. It's less than Netflix. I think my Netflix is like $30 a month now. And you will never have to suffer through commercial, especially if you're one of those people like many of you are who watch YouTube all day long. All day long. Look into other options. All right, let us see. Let us see. Emily C. says, Emily C. sent me a post on Twitter by Timothy Bradel, and this was posted today. Oh, it's fresh. It's fresh off the press from about a couple of hours ago at 2 p.m. And Tim Bradel says, let's see. Hold on. Hold, please. Okay. Thank you to Emily C. for bringing this to my attention. And also Mama Ford Denise put this in the chat earlier. Let's take a look, shall we? Timothy Bradel does not mince words. We call him the Silver Fox. North Andover PD seems to be imploding. It's about time for scrutiny on leadership or lack thereof. Apparently, the officer-involved shooting policy at the time of Kelsey's incident was for the chief to show up, play grab ass with the shooter, shaking hands and hanging out in the driveway, all while Kelsey is literally fighting for her life in an ambulance 20 feet away. Oh my God. Better yet, why not immediately rearm the shooter with your very own chief gun before any investigation has commenced into why the shooter shot his own colleague? Nothing to see here. Sounds like it's time to go, Chief Gray. Maybe they can replace him with Lieutenant Daly, the architect of the entire afternoon. He can't keep control of a scene, but maybe he can control a whole department. Or how about Lieutenant Whitaker, Justin's legal advisor from North Andover PD, or Sergeant Gerke, the expert on possession, title, and ownership of real estate? The options are endless. What? Hold on, because there's video. Wait a second. And it looks like this is video from Kelsey's security system. And it doesn't seem to have audio, but here it is. Kelsey's 20 feet away in an ambulance. Oh, no, it looks like it's zooming in and out. So it must be somebody taking this with a phone or something. Which one's Chief Gray? Who's this in the camo shorts? Coming up, shaking hands with Noonan, the shooter. Oh, wow. Well, let's watch it again. It's on a loop. Karma has 4K, says Living Story Worlds. Oh, wow. That's Gray in the camo shorts. Okay. That's the Chief. Okay, Chief. Oops. No, I want to remove this. And then, okay, then this is 30 seconds long. Let's listen to this because Bradle comes with receipts. Thank you to Court Chopped. This is Tim Bradle posted this and it's Court Chopped.
Thank you. Sir, I just had a couple more questions for you. The firearm that you used on the 30th, what happened to it after you left the residence?
So I secured the scene, and then once more officers showed up, they relieved me, and the chief had me walk with him to his car, and he took my firearm and he gave me his.
Oh.
You talked about Kelsey Fitzsimmons. Do you see her? Thank you. Sir, I just had a couple.
I did think that was bizarre in real time that the chief would take his firearm and give him his own firearm, just swapped it out like it was standard operating procedure. I mean, yeah, Bradle did get spicy in that statement. Nicole said, just got home from work. Almost missed you. Really wish life didn't get in the way. But Ms. Melanie, time. XOXO. Nicole Ray, like Do Ray Me. Broken Baker read it when it first came out, says Rhonda. Kelsey's? What are you talking about? Kelsey's affidavit? We read it too. I forgot. Somebody sent it to me, but it was something that was old that we already had looked at. All right. I think that's all I have for you today because I'm exhausted. And I need to go and rest my voice. So make sure you have your notifications set. Make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you hit the subscribe button. Make sure you hype after the video is over. Takes a while. It also takes a while for the chat to populate, so you can't watch it until later. A lot of gaslighting today. A lot of gaslighting. I can't wait to read Kelsey's response to this. If it comes out over the weekend, of course, I'll be back. I'll probably be back anyway because I had a week-long vacation where I missed you terribly, and I have so much to catch up on with you. Remember, stay cool, stay kind, stay classy. Don't believe everything you read on the internet. Tip your servers. Thank your moderators because I could never, ever, ever do it without them. And I love you all with all of my heart. And if I don't see you soon, I'm going to die. But you won't know when to come see me unless you have your notifications set. Peace, my friends. I'm going to go watch the Masters. Hopefully it's still on. Good night, everybody.